across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and here I've got some sweets out. In fact, this was a relatively large bag earlier. I can't believe we managed to go in through these sweet stacks quickly, and Christo Fufas isn't here. Anyway, I've got to tell you this story very, very quickly about a friend of mine in Switzerland who made a disastrous cock-up over the Christmas holidays. He's got two daughters, aged 9 and 7, and he bought them some Christmas pyjamas, which had written on the front, "My little ho-ho-ho." And his wife said that under no circumstances were the children allowed to wear. I don't know whether the person who manufactured these had realised what this was all about. But anyway, I'll tell you the other great story. So my mate Rob, who is one of Donald Trump's lawyers, was flying over from the United States of America to go on holiday in Switzerland. I think this is great, right? So checks in, BA, first class at New York, and they go, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. Your daughter's got 80 days left on her passport. We can't fly to Switzerland. But because it's a British passport, we can fly to the United Kingdom." So my mate goes, "What am I going to do? Can I get an emergency passport?" I said, "Well, not on Christmas Eve. It's going to be a complete nightmare." He said, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Here is some remarkably obscure knowledge. The 90-day rule to enter a country is not a law, it's just a convention. It just means because you're allowed there up to 90 days, it means you can't enter legally and then become illegal, having done nothing, having not changed your plans in any way, if you see what I mean." Right, so I said to him, whilst BA check-in will not waive the 90-day rule, it can be waived by any immigration officer. He said, "Well, how am I going to find a Swiss immigration officer?" I said, "You don't have to. All you have to find is one on the border of the Schengen area. And there are two ways to get into Schengen by meeting a customs officer, an immigration officer first. That is to take the Eurostar or the ferry." So he got thrown out of the BA first class lounge at Heathrow, got a train to St Pancras station, checked into Paris, and then got a train from Paris to Louisan. Now that is genius knowledge, isn't it? Okay, let's bring in our guests. Oh, not two of my better stories, those other things, but okay. Let's bring in our guests, Andrew Eborn, the futurist and broadcaster and barrister, and Chloe Dobbs, political commentator.
Good to see you.
I thought the Swiss thing was a win. A bit good knowledge.
It had holes in it.
It's not funny. It's good.
I know it's good. It's good knowledge. I think it's I thought the pyjama thing was appalling. The ho 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 thing.
My little ho ho ho.
I know. Do you think they realise that? And worse still, while they said you mustn't have your photos, what you have done with an audience of millions around the world is you've told that story, but you didn't name and shame. So I guess that's okay.
Should we name and shame?
Yes. Who was it?
No, I'm not going to say.
I go for if I've got like a passport that's expired or a train ticket that's not valid. I just go for the Darren Brown approach and just show it with full confidence and a smile on my face.
Do you know what I did?
They will. I did this on a train ride where it was going to cost me hundreds to buy.
So you've got Darren Brown's passport?
No.
No, I don't.
No. I was using a psychological tactic.
Why
I was on a train up north, and my ticket was not valid. And they just had done an announcement saying, if you try to use a ticket for this other train service, we will kick you off the train.
Yes, and I was like, you're right, because Darren's...
And so the lady came and I showed her the ticket with a big smile on my face. "Hello, how are you? Here's my ticket." And she looked at it and she went, "Yep, great, thank you." And I was like,
this is the winning ticket.
Saved me hundreds.
You're right.
Do you know, I saw a great trick by Darren Brown.
Yes.
He went to, I think it was Wimbledon Dog Track.
That's the one.
And he walked up to a woman and he said, "Right, I'm going to guess all of the winners of every race."
Yes.
And he went, "In number 1, it'll be 5. In number 2, it'll be 6. I went through it all. And he went, "Write it down." And she went and she won every single race and won about 800 quid. Now, can I tell you that what had actually happened? Darren Brown had spent 4 weeks going to Wimbledon Dog Track every night, just walking up to people going, "I'll guess all the winners," right? And then the 99 out of 100 people where he got it completely wrong, they just gave him 50 quid in an NDA.
I'm certainly not true. In the same way as Kemi's saying terrible things about Nigel, Darren is a true genius. He's beyond this world. He's fantastic. And a good mate. He's a member of the Magic Circle. I belong to the Magic Circle as well. And Darren, he does it for real. And you're right, it's that psychological thing. You say something with enough confidence, people will believe you.
I've got a 9... No, let's not do that. I was about to say I've got a 9-inch pianist.
Where does this show go? This is what we agreed to do.
Right, do you want a sweet, Chloe?
Have an E number. I think we're all buzzing on E's. There you go.
We're not buzzing on E's. What's your problem?
E numbers. Oh, right.
That's what it is. It's like I've got into the habit of calling it cola. As if you go, does anyone want some Coke? Okay.
Yes.
Kemi Badenoch.
Talking about members.
Taking the sweet out.
Yes.
Nigel of Fraud is one of the only honest people in British politics, from what I can see. The Conservative Party claimed to have 131,000 members. Nobody believes that to be true, but that was the number that they quoted at the last leadership election, and now it's been surpassed by Reform. But Kemi is saying that Reform are lying about their membership.
Lies, damn lies and statistics. And I've got it live here, actually. Reform UK, 136,777.
They've gone way past the 131,000.
Look at that. It's rather like we did the thing for the petition. Do you remember the one for let's call a general election? We did that live on air. This is what's happening. So November 2024 is 131,680 for the Conservatives. What Nigel has said, firstly, it's a terrible accusation, and it's in Parliament they couldn't talk about anybody being a liar because it's unparliamentary language. To say it in public, I think it just devalues any potential argument she's got.
She's accused him of fraud, basically.
Yeah, exactly, it's awful.
Said she's a fraud. He's a fraudster, and this is not just some random troll on Twitter. No. She is the leader of the Conservative Party.
Thank you.
I mean, it sounds like she's just throwing a hissy fit, throwing her toys out at the pram.
Can we just admit one thing about one piece of dishonesty by Nigel Farage over membership? Right. So he said that the 100,000th Reform member would be able to have a pint with Lee Anderson.
There you go.
And it happened to be Dame Andrea Jenkins. Right. Now,
I reckon.
Farage stood up and he went, isn't it an amazing coincidence that it happens to be Dame Andrea Jenkins?
Well, what's interesting, Nigel has said, because you can get someone to verify, he said we'll get one of the big firm of accountants to verify both figures. And that's what they need to do, because this is going to turn into a just slinging match, and nobody will come out of it looking good. And I always say trust comes in on foot but leaves on horseback. If you can't trust your politicians on their figures, that's going to be a real issue. The other question, however, is that what does it actually mean? Does it mean that you're voting, you can have a say in the party's structure? Because a number of people have criticised, including Ben Habib of this parish, has criticised Reform for saying actually they don't have any bits and pieces, it needs a constitution. So
actually, as a lawyer,
yes,
I suspect you would probably agree with me when I say to you that technically Reform has 9 members.
Well, it is
those being the shareholders of the limited company.
Well, that's what you have to ask.
What other legal member is that?
Well, that's what you have to define and say, what does it mean? What does it really mean? When they're saying 131,680 in November for the Conservatives, what does that mean? Are you comparing apples and pears, or are you comparing like with like?
I mean, my understanding is that the Labour Party are trying to get rid of the ability of members to vote for the leaders and whatnot, so then you might say being a member of the Labour Party doesn't mean anything. I mean, for a lot of people, giving, your 25 quid or whatever it is for each party is a way to just, that's a donation to them. It's something to support them. It's not, what do I get in return?
Yeah, but there's another dodgy bit about the Conservative Party membership. So first of all, they don't know who their members are, simply because there is no one central register. So their figures can't possibly be accurate.
And also there'll be loads of people there who have switched to Reform but just haven't cancelled their membership, myself included. I got an email the other day saying, your direct debit has gone through to the Conservative Party, and I was like, damn it, I forgot to cancel it.
But it's also like a subscription service, isn't it? Otherwise you just make it like Netflix.
Well, there's another important point about Conservative Party membership. Yes. It includes Conservative clubs. Now, I'm not being funny, but a number of Conservative clubs that I've been to, Mickey at the bar is hardly a hardline right-winger, is he?
But this is why you need to turn around and say, well, what do these figures mean? Lies, damn lies and statistics. You're turning around, you're trumpeting as though these figures actually mean something. What does it mean to be a member? What rights do you have? And who are you counting in those figures? And it seems very easy. I think this is not going to do anybody any good. Turning around, having a fight on that sort of basis. They're fairly small numbers anyway. 106, they're not going to win an election. Come on, look at that realistically.
Hang on, do you know what we should do? Let's really pee them off.
Go on then.
Let's get my YouTube channel to surpass the Conservative Party membership. More members of my YouTube channel than there are members of the Conservative Party.
Well, between us, I think the aggregate of Chloe, yourself and me, we're there. We work on that sort of basis.
Easy.
We've already done that. We have more members between us than the Conservatives
right.
and Reform. Go on then.
The YouTube followers of Chloe, Andre and Andrew
Absolutely.
are higher than the Conservative Party
Go to
members.
Octopus TV, look at the YouTube channel now, go to Andre Walker and Chloe Dobbs. You've got a YouTube channel.
Speaking of social media, Kemi, in her attack on Nigel, said Nigel is not in touch with the digital age, right? And this is the guy who's got 1 million followers on TikTok now. I mean, he is like the politician of TikTok. He's the only one there that's any good at it. And, you know, she's just making these insults up.
Oh, Ed Maisie's good at it. Come on.
Have absolutely no basis whatsoever. And it really does seem like a little kid.
I thought that was an odd claim. You're not in touch with the digital age. Yeah, I've got about 50 times the number of followers as you.
It is so silly. It's not going to end well, because what's going to happen is they will get the big firm, one of the big firms, to have a look at the figures. They're going to turn around. It's either true or it's not. And you then turn around and say, look, more light and less heat. Say this is what we classify as a member. Somebody pays their subscription. They become a member on that sort of basis. That's what it means.
The Conservative Party will never allow that to happen.
Well, then they have off why.
No, we all know why.
So that's the problem.
The problem is with the Conservative Party, they are very sensitive about having fewer than 100,000 members, which they probably do have. Fewer than 100,000.
So why would they claim 131,680 in November 2024?
Because what they're doing is they've added in loads of people, like all members of Conservative clubs.
Right.
Now that is a big number, because think about up and down the country, all of those Conservative clubs, and then there's other little organisations as well. Organisations like university branches, where you're not a proper member of the Tory Party, but you're a member of a student branch that uses the Conservative brand and stuff like that. I think they're probably more legitimate than the Conservative clubs.
It's so easy to unpack this. You can turn around and say that this is what we mean by a member, this is how we've counted them, and both sides come together. But also, it's completely pointless. They say the numbers are relatively small for the whole realm of things. What are they hoping to prove? Rather than just turning around and say, you're lying about the statistics, why don't you just turn around and say, look, this is what it means, we need to look at this as a real issue. Why are people...
I'll tell you what, talking of things like that, I had a friend of mine who, he was a member of Parliament. In his constituency, there was 1 2 up 2 down with 70 people living in it, all on postal votes. And he said what was amazing was the names. It was the first guy was called Mr. Mohammed Iqbal, then the second one was called Mr. Iqbal Mohammed, and then it was like Mr. Iqbal Mohammed Khan, Mr. Mohammed Iqbal Khan, and he just obviously just slightly altered his name. And all of them, and believe it or not, local authority wouldn't investigate. They said there's no real evidence there aren't 70 people there. But yeah, there's no evidence there's not 70 people there, except it's got 4 rooms, right?
Yes. Well, but this is the problem. It's all about the narrative, isn't it? And you look at the statistics last time for the election. What I thought was crazy is that you get Liberal Democrats got 12% of the votes.
Yes.
And they ended up, as I predicted, with 72 seats or whatever it is. The Reform, with 14% of the votes, ended up with 5. I mean, what a nonsense is that?
But they are making progress. I looked on electoral calculus today and they predicted there was a general election tomorrow, Reform will get 38 seats. Obviously, that's a long way from having Nigel in number 10. But that's a big improvement on 5 at the general election.
I've got to be honest with you. So I saw Nigel the other day, and I wouldn't say he's confirmed this story to me, but it's fair to say that he didn't deny it.
Okay.
I said, I think you had a real concern on polling day that you thought you were going to get a lot of seats because they wanted that bridgehead.
Yes.
They wanted, 5 to 10 people. Oh, sorry, probably 2 to 10 people. I think 5 was a good number. But then it looked like they might have 15, and they're like, who are these people?
Yes.
Right? Because the vetting had all gone wrong, and they said there was one bloke, and this wasn't Nigel that told me, but they said there was one bloke who looked like he might win who was just a big racist.
And this is the problem. Nigel said this is the easy thing to throw sort of rubbish at them. They turned around and said they didn't have time to vet everybody, so all of this is going to come around. And actually, Reform was born in this very studio, wasn't it? Because Nigel used to be here. We had David Bull was here, Tice was here, and the original members. Ben Habib is a regular. These still have the DNA, these seats of the original Reform members. And you look at that sort of stuff. What's going to happen, though, it's not going to just be Reform by themselves. They need to do some sort of deal with the Conservatives to beat Starmer. And talking, as you know, Elon Musk and how that's going to change everything, the potential donation, as you know...
No!
Why are you angry about Elon Musk?
No, it's not Elon Musk. It's not Elon Musk that I'm angry about. It's not Elon Musk. Calm it. Oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get our scripts out. Andrew, you've got a story about Elon Musk, haven't you?
So you're obsessed with Elon Musk?
I'm not obsessed. I'm a musketeer, but I am. But Errol Musk, who's Elon's father.
He's telling us anyway.
No, but I asked
He's being
him.
mocked. He's literally being mocked.
No,
it's not.
this is what he said. So you want the truth? So I asked Errol about it, about this donation and so on and so forth, and also about the credibility.
It started with the kids.
I will help the YouTube views on that basis. So what he was saying, it's all about credibility. And at the moment, no party is sufficiently together. So what it makes sense, that's the reality. So the Conservatives and Reform need to have a conversation if they're going to eat starved. We've got to work on that.
I don't think they should do a deal. I think when I ask my viewers, what do you think of so-and-so Conservative thinking of defecting? A lot of them, they get really, really touchy about it. They do not want the Reform Party to just become the Tory party. They only want a few Tories to defect if they really are really serious about immigration, for example. They'll happily have Suella Braverman, for example, but they do not want every single Tory MP.
Do you know what I said on my YouTube channel, and it went out, and honestly, I found myself amused by it. Look, the Conservative Party remains a really strong way, a good mechanism of bringing around conservatism. Even now, at least half of the Conservative Party MPs are Conservatives. Yeah. And then I thought, actually, that's not a really good statistic or reflection, is it? Because that means the other half are just communists.
Yeah. But also, there's something wrong with people defecting anyway for a party. If you vote for somebody as your Member of Parliament, you tend to be voting on party lines for whatever it is, and rather than as an individual. So it's not just the individual who can suddenly say, I'm going to switch parties.
This is pretty bad.
I think that they need to do as much damage to the Tories as they can over the next few years and see how far they can let them die off. If they are completely dead, then they can stay independent. But obviously they'll need to, there might be a last-minute deal near the general election if it still looks like the vote on the right is split. But they may not need to. And if they can stay independent and just allow the Tories to die as they, keep on doing well on social media, making Kemi look like an idiot with this spat on Twitter and whatnot, then they can stay independent. They don't need to do a deal now.
Do you reckon Kemi was on the ale this afternoon?
I think she may have been.
It's sort of because
she's still a bit tipsy from the Christmas sherry.
But it's one of those things where she sent 5 tweets kicking off about Reform UK's membership. Yes. Right. And what time is it? Well, 5 hours ago, they're saying. So maybe about 6 in the evening. It's Christmas. It's Boxing Day, isn't it?
I don't believe. I think Kemi has got a good heart and a good soul, but
I'm not saying she has a bad heart. I'm saying, was she pissed?
She was ill-advised to make that tweet.
She was ill.
Well, I don't think she was advised because all of her staff would have been off work enjoying Christmas. This is maybe what happens when you don't have the whole PR
She was tired and emotional, Chloe. She was tired and emotional.
But it's so easy to disprove the allegation, and it's defamatory. If you're saying somebody's committing fraud, it's defamatory. And
was it defamatory enough?
Well, it's not bad enough. It's defamatory. You say somebody's committing fraud, it's defamation.
But, the only thing is to get and Zia, they've responded to Kemi's tweet with the screenshots. Because she said, we've been monitoring your the back end of your website for the past week. And they've said, well, first of all, you wouldn't have access to the back end of our website. And here are the screenshots of it to prove it.
Absolutely.
They've made it very clear.
I hadn't realised this. They projected the membership numbers.
They did it. It's a Conservative thing. And Zia Youssef, he basically said, what he was saying is it's been broken. Century-long stranglehold of the centre-right of British politics has finally been broken, and he will gladly invite the Big Four audit firms, what I was saying earlier, to check the numbers on the basis that they do the same. That's got to be the only way.
Okay, so I have to say, I've been away not away for Christmas, I've been drunk. But I suppose that's a form of away, isn't it? But I hadn't realised that they projected the membership number on Conservative campaign headquarters.
And the numbers are going up all the time. So even within the tail of the show, it's now 136,833. And our YouTube channels are doing similar numbers. So we're doing very well. There we go. That's
before we go to break,
yes,
I had assumed, as he finishes his sweet.
Yeah, go for it.
Professional to the last.
You're very good.
Okay. So I'd assumed that was just one of those automated things.
It is automated. That was the accusation that Kemi's making. So rather like a Netflix subscription, it's going up on that. So there we are. So now number 4. We've gone up within the short space of time. What was it? 77 at the end beforehand. So we've gone up by 60 just about within the space of a few minutes.
Oh, so what they've done is they work out every week approximately how many people join and then just tick it up by that number.
Well, it's interesting. We're getting on commission as well. Do you get the letter about commission? If we get the numbers up, it works on that sort of basis. What I also like is that Maggie, who can't quite...
Zia explained it on his Twitter. If I find it.
Exactly that's fascinating, Chloe. Anyway, we'll be back after break.
You get so much more when you book with Emirates Holidays. Enjoy a tailor-made getaway with flights on Emirates, all-inclusive experiences and 24/7 support. Make it a holiday to remember.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk.
What was that?
Okay, I just flung an empty glass across the studio, which I want to just be clear, was an accidental flick of the wrist. It was not some sort of meltdown, Christmas meltdown.
Again.
Okay, so I just want to ask, by the way,
yes,
Andrew, I want to ask you, because you're a magician, I hadn't realised how awful life has been for the magician Dynamo, whose Crohn's disease gave him arthritis in his hands, so he couldn't do his...
Yeah, Stephen, who he now goes
Stephen's
by that name. So basically, no, it is. He's had a really tough time, and he's such a nice guy as well. And what he did, he sort of, it was rather like the David Blaine, where you took sort of magic to the streets and did that sort of grungy sort of way. And it made
that David Blaine, where it's like, you're just standing on the other foot, pal. I mean, it's just...
You can't go around pretending to reveal magic secrets. It's against the magic circle rules. But it's also not true real magic.
What else can you be doing on the standing on one foot?
And then you destroying magic over Christmas. It's the worst time of all. It is the official Grinch. He's a lovely guy. We've got lots of great members, including the King. King Charles is the member of the Magic Circle, and he had to do the cups and balls, and it's in the Magic Circle Museum.
Is that right?
I'll take all.
So I think his was I make plans grow by talking to them.
There you go. Very good.
But do you know? Isn't that the best example in debating of a causal link failure?
Yes.
Because it is true. He was right that talking to his plants made bigger, but what he hadn't realised was it wasn't the talking, it was the carbon dioxide he was blowing.
There you go, but there was still that effect.
So of course, it increased photosynthesis by breathing carbon dioxide. So they can't listen to you.
How do you know they can't listen to you?
Because they've got no ears.
Is that how listening works?
I've got a friend she's got this fish tank in her lounge. She's obsessed with the fish.
Yes.
But she has to go and sit and talk to the fish, and she went away on holiday and got her mum to look after the fish, and they all got depressed, and they all started dying, because if you don't talk to them and chat to them, they get all sad.
I'm sorry, depression doesn't lead to death. Not in a fish. No, it does. I don't accept that. That's our Alan's hot topic for the day. 0344 499 1000. Depressed fish and what we're going to do with them.
And it's not just ears, because the deaf you can hear with vibrations and things like that. So actually, there is some sort of element of never dismiss anything. There's all sorts of possibilities, and you're right about the fish. If you talk to your fish, it's relaxing for them. It's relaxing for everybody else.
What's the difference between meat and fish?
Go on then.
If you beat your fish, it'll die.
Oh, no, don't you can't say this. This is like a family show. Look at you. This is just the whole thing. I remember Christmases when we used to watch Morecambe and Wise. It was good, wholesome family entertainment. Now we've got Andre Walker on Boxing Day.
Did you ever have as a kid they were called sea monkeys? You got like a little tank.
And they do. They come out.
And you feed them. And this... She was my friend, but she was no longer my friend.
Wasn't the sea monkey one of the stories from Alan Partridge? Michael,
they're like these little fish that they look like monkeys. But anyway, a girl came over to my house and she killed them. She took she took all the food packets that I had and put all of it in at once. Gave them too much food and they all died. And I will never forgive her for that.
Awful.
She also came to my birthday party, snuck in the kitchen before we put the candles on the cake, and took all of the chocolate toppings off the cake and just stuffed her face with them. Pieta. Hopefully she never sees
phone her. She's going to phone
Pieta. Right, okay. Right, can I tell you my favourite Christmas story before we go on to slagging off the BBC? Don't worry, we're into it. Right, Chloe, when you were a little girl, did you ever like to get those calendars at Christmas with like cats having their tea parties and things like that, and dogs and all that sort of?
No, but you told me about this last time about how they kill the cat before
what they do is they pick the attractive cats, then kill them and stuff them because they can't get them to pose. So in your daughter's bedroom, you've got daughters, haven't you? They were dead cats.
No, that's awful. Why this show is so miserable? I mean, come on, Christmas time. You're destroying magic. You're destroying.
Grandma's bought you pictures of dead cats. Right, Chloe, tell us about the BBC's behaviour.
Go on,
so the BBC have been scaring people, saying that they might pop round on Christmas to come fine you a grand.
The BBC have been scaring people this Christmas by threatening to repeat Mrs Brown's Boys.
Yeah, exactly. If you tune into Mrs Brown's Boys EastEnders on Christmas Day, they'll be knocking at the door. So they sent out a letter saying, this address doesn't have a licence fee associated with it. You may have a visit from the inspector. He could visit on December 25th or any other day, right?
So basically, it's just a round robin.
Yeah, and there's the letter. You can see somebody's crumpled it up as we spoke.
But then a spokesman came out and said, this letter was sent out by mistake. We didn't mean to send this. Nobody will be coming round on December 25th. Well, I'm sure they'll blame some intern.
I think it's absolute disgusting when you've got pensioners freezing at home when they can't afford a choice between heating or eating.
They can't afford to turn the telly on the electricity.
I like the thing about mistletoe and fine. Well done to our scriptwriters. But the principle is that it is absolutely appalling that this letter went out, scaring older people, because that's who's going to be affecting as well. Looking at that sort of basis, where they're basically being threatened on that sort of principle, it is disgusting and should never have gone down. And people need to look at it. They always blame an intern, don't they? It's, an intern said that. Really? We don't believe that for a minute. We need a proper investigation, and somebody needs to apologise to poor people who proceeded.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question, Chloe. and I want you to think about the answer and think about the detail you give around it.
Okay.
Do you have a TV licence?
No, but I don't have a TV.
Okay.
Do you have a computer that you watch live television on? Do you watch the iPlayer?
I watch Netflix and YouTube.
Do you?
No live television.
I've been told that if you watch live TV on your phone,
yes,
it's perfectly legal unless you plug it in to charge.
The basic principle, and I pulled this up because I knew we were going to do this. The basic sort of principle, and this is the sort of two tested live TV on any channel and the BBC iPlayer. There we go. If you have a look at the side about whether you need a licence, that's it. If you're just
but does the law say you need it for iPlayer, or is that just a civil offence?
I think that the reality is this, and people often get confused. It's not a criminal offence not to have a licence. What the criminal offence is not to pay the fine, and that's when the crime comes. So,
is that right?
Yeah. So people often get there's an extra step before it's the crime, but the reality is exactly that. You need to check whether you need a licence. It's going up as well, which is the biggest problem. So the BBC's in a terrible mess.
I had a friend of mine who wrote to the BBC saying, and he claims that he'd been told by a friend of his, that the BBC will let you off the licence if you do this. Do not try it, right? Because I don't know whether it'll work. But he wrote in saying, I am not willing to pay my TV licence because I have political disagreements with the BBC.
Yes.
And he said that he'd come across a policy document at the BBC saying, we don't want them in court, standing up slagging us off, right? So just leave those ones. The ones that write to us and say they're going to stand up in the magistrates' court screaming abuse about how we're all communists, we'll just not have them.
That's a good tip.
It's a very good tip, but I think it's a terrible tip. You're basically encouraging people to basically not pay their licence fee, but
I'm encouraging no one to do anything.
But also, this is like the Christmas show. I love it. You should see any other day where we're not happy. The reality is exactly that, is you have to do the licence fee on that sort of basis, otherwise you get your fine. On that sort of basis, the BBC are getting so much shtick about it anyway. They're looking at what the best
Hang
of
on,
the
it's
way
not shtick, it's stick. Stick means pattern of behaviour.
What's this a pattern of behaviour? So
they're getting stick for it, they're not getting stick.
They're getting both.
No, they're not.
They're getting a pattern. There's a pattern
stick
behaviour with a stick.
It's another phone-in. Hot topic.
No, you can have a stick of stick. No, so you can have a pattern where they're always beating.
You just mispronounced it, didn't you?
Yeah, beating the people on that sort of basis.
You just mispronounced it. OK, I'll tell you what I do want to ask you about.
Yes.
I want to ask you about the Christmas crime wave. I've got to be totally honest with you, to both of you, but first to Chloe. I'm getting really upset about the level of shoplifting. I walk into my local Sainsbury's in Ascot, where the security guard looks like John Pienaar. But anyway, which is not as bad, actually. The Tesco's across the road. The assistant manager looks like Derek Trotter. Right? He's a nice bloke called Alan from Northern Ireland. But anyway, people just walk out with stuff.
It's awful.
I mean, train stations are particularly bad. People just walk in, pick whatever they want and leave. And then you start to think, and once again, I'm absolutely not encouraging anybody to commit crime. But you think, I feel like a mug for paying.
Oh, I mean, speaking of the train stations, just a couple of days ago, I was coming off the train and a bunch of teenagers came past in front of me and they all just bump through the gates and don't tap their card and like, oh, aren't you cool? You've saved £3 or whatever it is. And then the ticket guy just stood there with his arms crossed.
But I'll tell you something.
It's the same in shops. I see videos on Twitter all the time now of people, they'll go into, a Tesco or Boots or whatever, and they'll just be filling up their bags,
well,
taking their time. Nobody cares.
This is what upsets me about those ticket inspectors, because if you've made a mistake, he'll have you. If you boot the barriers in, you and 20 of your mates, they'll just stand there and not do anything. Yeah. And all they are doing is literally trying to hammer the legitimate people. I mean, I got fined for fare dodging once. I'll tell you all that happened to me. I got on the train at Leatherhead and I was due to meet my brother in London. Right, and he said to me, I've already made it to Windsor. So I changed at Clapham Junction and went back to Windsor. Of course, what I'd forgotten is the ticket was from Leatherhead to London. I got to the barriers didn't get to the barriers, didn't have barriers in those days. But I went up to the bloke in Windsor and I went, right, I've forgotten to buy a ticket. You're not going to believe that. What is the path of least resistance? And he went, it's a £20 fine, but you don't have to declare who you are. So I said, all right, well, there's the 20 quid. He said, no, but you do have to wait for the receipt. And the receipt said issued to X, and just had X's all the way through it. It was like my photograph collection. But anyway.
This is the show, isn't it? This is just,
I don't care.
I know you don't. Those things. No, it is absolutely appalling that you get things like people investigating. You get bad speech. You talk about various situations. That is, they're going to clamp down on that sort of stuff. But when you're nicking stuff from shops, it is appalling. And the reality is, it's not. We pay for it. We pay for it in hiked up prices and so on and so forth. So we should stop. We need to bring back.
Every Tuesday, we just eat at Gianni's because you've got to support local.
Because Tuesday is your turn to wash up.
I wasn't aware we had a rota, Stephen.
Well, you wrote it, Bruno. For nights in and everything else.
Did somebody say just eat?
Values. We need to turn around and say it's not just police officers, it's not just the security guards in shops. As a community, we need to call this out.
Yeah, but I've got to be honest with you. I said this the other day. I was at Reading Station. I saw a couple of young girls nicking a load of stuff from WH Smith's or something. I forget which one it was. But I thought to myself, if I intervene, what will happen is they'll say I groped them or something like that, and the police will have me and let them off.
Well, this is
and
why
it will
the
destroy
security guards in shops, they just don't bother. They're literally paid to stop people stealing, but they stand there with their arms
I saw that at Tesco's on Trafalgar Square. Somebody went in and helped themselves to Krispy Kreme donuts, which, by the way, are awful. I don't know why anyone says they're nice. But anyway, the bloke said, listen, for minimum wage, I'm not fighting these people.
Well, that's the thing, it's minimum wage, and sure, you might lose that job, but you can get another one, right? The other alternative is maybe you end up...
I'd rather lose the job than my eye.
You end up in court and whatnot, because, as you say, if it's a girl, they might say you assaulted them. If it's a person of colour, they might say it's a racist attack.
There is a perception, Andrew,
yes,
and I don't know if it's true, perhaps you can enlighten me, that if you were to intervene, the police would have you for intervening.
And that's the problem. We're living in a culture of fear. The bottom line, and this is why lawlessness is rife. And every single day on social media, you're having these CCTV footage of security guards getting beaten up, a whole load of people going in and nicking stuff. We need to bring back community values, and that's what we need to do in 2025. They all say it takes a village to bring up a child. It's the same about making sure we get lawfulness in society. Let's bring that back. Let's get values where we're not scared.
But nobody respects the law anymore.
And that's because people are getting away with stuff. And the focus is wrong. When we talk about two-tier care and looking at that sort of stuff, shoplifting and various other crimes, and it's not just shoplifting, it's the other crimes as well. They're all on the increase, but things are not happening. But you speak on that sort of basis, and you get punished. The
impression has been given that the law is there to hound the good people and is just simply not applied to the bad people.
No, the law's not there to hound the bad. It's enforcement. So a lot of people, they blame tech, and we'll come on to this later as well, talking about TikTok. It's the technology. It's not the technology that's bad. It's not the law that's bad. It's the enforcement.
But that's the argument that people make about gun ownership in the United States of America.
Well, but you work on that sort of basis. We won't get into that now. We won't get into it later. But the reality is that it's not those instruments for people who are bad are going to do bad things with it. That's the reality. The law is fine. We have protection in place. What needs to be looked at is the enforcement side.
People would not run around London with machetes in broad daylight having sword fights if they knew it was the case that every other one of their mates that had ever been seen with a knife was straight in prison.
But I blame.
If there was strict enforcement.
I'm going to go, Chloe, for a controversial view. I blame the Police Act 2002, right, which banned your legal right to set up your own police force. Right, for the first time in British history, you could not do it. And the reason was very simple. It's called the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea Constabulary. Well, Kensington and Chelsea said the Metropolitan Police have given up in our area. Therefore, we are going to claim our right to have our own police force, which we're going to come in. Now, what the Met did under Ian Blair was they lobbied for they put in community policing a bit, but they basically ensured that it was illegal. So we're now in a position without that check and balance where senior police officers are able to give up on areas and nobody can mitigate it. There's no alternative. So I mean, if you are in a green zone, remember Sarah Thornton, that dreadful former chief constable of the Thames Valley Police. She came up with the traffic light system, which means that if you live in a green zone, no police will be there.
Yeah, and it is appalling. And as I say, trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback. The trust in the police is at an all-time low. You see these horrendous pictures which are accompanying our discussion. And you'll see, I understand, you're a security guard and you have a whole gang of people coming in and nicking all the cigarettes, and you're worried for your life. You're worried for your life. What we need to do is look at that footage and then make an example. You turn around and say, the police, subsequently we can identify people very quickly, because CCTV footage is everywhere at the moment. You can follow exactly where they went. No. But you look at things, if somebody has their phone stolen, and they almost stole my phone, I was outside the BBC, and somebody came along on a bike, that's what they often do, tried to grab it. Fortunately, I held long enough, and I phoned up straight away, I still had my phone, and I said, look, I can tell you where the guy is, we'll have a look here, you've got this footage, you've got CCTV footage, and they said, well, you're the seventh barrister who's almost had his phone nicked. But these happen all of the time, and it's not I'm not being funny.
Knowing what I know about the BBC, there is no way whatsoever I would steal one of their phones or laptops, right? Because that's a recipe for disaster. Because anyone goes on the hard drive of that bloody thing, right? I mean, it's like, what you'd have to do is you'd have to get like that professional shredding software to get rid of the filth from the damn thing. All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Should have just booked the cab. Seriously? Who's eating a tuna sandwich? Perfect! Bring your luggage on a rush hour train. Start your journey the right way. Free now. For every kind of Londoner.
From party host to morning toast, you've got a friend in Philly.
on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Andrew Eborn and Chloe Dobbs.
I spoiled on a Boxing Day. I love it. And this is the clean version, as I say. We remember Christmases past. What was your favourite Christmas? Did you have a favourite Christmas?
A favourite Christmas?
Did I have a favourite Christmas? The one of the 25th of December. It's generally accepted.
But we used to... I mean, yesterday we had Gavin and Stacey to see where all the time the nation came together and they were huddling around the TV.
Yeah, but isn't that fat one really obnoxious in real life?
No, I've met him. And it depends. Everybody's obnoxious at certain times. And it depends. It depends on when you approach them. They can be really nice and they can be really horrid. And
Right.
you get all sorts of...
Right, well,
What are we on
I
about?
haven't met you because you're going to have a pop at me. Who haven't you met, he's going to say?
Who are the most obnoxious celebrities you've ever met?
Well, I met this Andre Walker. Have you met him? No, I haven't met him.
You met Andrew Eborn.
I don't know. Exactly. No,
Has anyone met Yuri Geller?
No, Yuri's lovely. Everybody's lovely. It depends on the sort of basis. I think what happens is depends. People get a bad rap depending on different situations.
Yeah, some celebrities have a bad rap and then go off on one. Don't they?
No, they do.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were referring to hard drugs. There for a second.
No,
He's had a bad rap.
The reality is, if you prick me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? Everybody has issues all
Chloe, can
all
you
the
time. That, please?
Everybody does have issues.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean everyone's an obnoxious prick.
So who's an obnoxious... Who are you saying?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
He was asking who's the most obnoxious... It was the best line of the show. So lovely that the gallery are loving your verbiage.
I don't even know who or what you're talking about.
He's asking who was the most obnoxious one you've come across.
Obnoxious one?
Present
celebrity?
Present company accepted.
What, in person or...?
Yes, or virtually.
I don't know that many celebrities.
Neil Tennant was quite obnoxious to
Neil's
me.
lovely.
But
Neil who?
But then again, I was ailed up at the time.
You'd be all permanently ailed.
The most obnoxious celebrity I've ever met in my life, the Oddie. Bill Oddie is awful.
Bill Oddie was lovely.
Oh, he's dreadful.
He was not dreadful. He was a great goodie.
Although I will say, I think what upset him was when I went. We went to an event.
He's a baddie they're saying in the gallery.
It was an event in Parliament.
Yes.
And I walked up and it was only serving vegan food.
Yes.
And I went, "Where's the chicken drumsticks?"
Yes.
And he went, "This is an event for the RSPB,
That was
the
it.
Royal Society Prevention of Cruelty to Birds." And I went, "Oh, come on, chickens don't count." I went, "Chickens are birds as well."
But why does that make him obnoxious?
Come on, Oddie, pose for a photo with me.
And did he?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't smile.
Oh, just...
You're probably the obnoxious one for going in there demanding chicken.
I have to say, it's all
I hadn't
about
even been
perspective.
invited, actually, which was...
So you were gate crashing.
gate
You're
crashing.
definitely the obnoxious celebrity then.
I'll tell you what, I gate crashed. Every night I worked in Parliament, I gate crashed. I'd do on the terrace and just swilled champagne. I'm very concerned about the issues emerging in British gas. Right. But one night I did actually gate crash a funeral.
Oh, did you?
Why?
Well, it's easier than gate
I can
crashing a wedding.
understand gate crashing a wedding because it's fun and everyone's in a good
didn't
mood. But
mean
why
to.
would
I
you
mean,
gate crash a funeral where everyone's crying?
I walked in, they were all wearing black and crying.
Yes.
And then they walked over to me and went, "Who are you?"
Yes. And what did you say? I'm on the bride side.
I said,
What did you say?
"I met him once."
Oh, you met him once? Is that what you said?
And then just pretended, and they went, "Oh yes,
that's fine."
What brought you to want to go gate crash a funeral?
No, because I didn't know it was a bloody funeral,
Were you
Chloe.
trying to go to a normal your Sunday church service,
What
or-
university did you go to?
Oxford.
Right. So I went in through the side entrance, right? Right. Intellectual, right? Didn't realise it was a funeral.
Okay.
Now, what I then did was I clocked enough details from the picture of him to help me make up a backstory about how well we knew each other.
Well, the great thing about gate crashing a funeral as opposed to a wedding is that you don't have to bring a present. You still get access to the food. I know it works on that basis.
Can I tell you something? When my grandmother died,
Yes.
there was a knock on the door during the wake.
Oh, no.
And the woman went, "Hello, I'm here to see Maria." I went, "This is her wake." And she started crying. And she went, "Oh, I'm her carer. Nobody told me she was dead." And my mum whispered in my ear and went, "Don't give her any money." And she said, "Offer her a cup of tea only. She'll be gone in 10 minutes." Right? And somebody told me that the people who are carers make sure they find out when the wake is and then knock on the door pretending they didn't know.
Oh, is that what they do?
Because then they go, "Oh, you looked after my mother. There's a tenner each." Right, and they sort of make a couple of quid, don't they?
Oh,
my mum said, "You give her a sarnie and a cup of tea, she'll be gone in 5 minutes."
Very sneaky. My dad will gate crash weddings, but he won't just loiter at the back and steal a few canapes. He'll go straight to the centre stage of the dance floor.
Why?
Really?
He doesn't see anything wrong with it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm getting everyone in a good mood." But at my cousin's wedding, when he actually was invited and was supposed to be there, he was acting like such an idiot on the dance floor that one of the guests actually came up to my cousin and said, "Becky, some guys gate crashed your wedding." And we're like, "No, that's my uncle."
I thought the worst thing I've ever seen from a wedding, the worst thing I've ever seen is is a wedding in Scotland where they got the best man to sit on the bride's knee, and he'd neither worn underwear nor wiped his backside properly.
Oh no! Oh no!
And there was
was there evidence?
There was an additional stripe
that's what I'm saying,
on the
yes.
dress.
Oh
She
dear!
must have been showing
absolutely
ass.
furious. And what we're naming and shaming? Who was that?
No, it was just I just saw it online.
It's gotta be-
Mike Graham.
but the reality is this. The reality is
He wouldn't have been sober enough to do it.
You're talking about obnoxious people. I always say, maybe this is what we should do for 2025, is that if somebody's not in the room able to defend themselves, we shouldn't slag them off behind that.
Well, how on earth are we going to operate this state?
But very easily, because everybody, everybody has a right to have somebody speaking up for them occasionally. And I think
Get Margaret.
We can't see Maggie.
Yes,
Here we
she's
go.
not actually
How can we do this? Can I do this? It's like, how's that? Is that there's your Maggie? She's come in reform colours. You'll notice.
I cannot begin to describe how thrilled I am.
Oh, look at that! Do you see the impersonation I did? So you didn't even see my lips move. It's got to be
okay.
Anyway, Maggie.
We're going to be back in a couple of moments, and we're going to be talking about should teenagers vote.
Supercharge your ideas with Gemini, your AI assistant from Google on Acer Chromebook Plus.
The UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and a big hello to Oliver Dobbs, who I understand is watching live across the world. Okay. Texting people saying that I shouldn't throw things at his sister. Well,
Stop it.
I don't care. Okay, should teenagers vote? Andrew, do you care?
Of course I care, and the reason it's important, the reason they're trying to do it in the same way as they're trying to restrict the rules on who can donate what to parties, is because they want to stay in power. And as soon as you can do it, in the same way as the Lib Dems, when they had that sort of coalition with the Conservatives, one thing they should have focused on is proportional representation, because they could have made themselves the party, a much better party.
But most teenagers that I've ever met now, and I don't want, because I'm in media, for people to think I generally hang around with them, but they're generally rabid, aren't they? I mean, if you get talking, if you get talking to a sixth former, quite often they have the political opinions of their parents, right? It's only when they get to 18 they start getting into veganism and Buddhism and stuff like that.
Oh no, people rebel a lot earlier.
What?
I'm vegan.
She is vegan.
vegan?
Yeah, she is vegan.
I prefer the term vegetableist because it sounds more offensive.
But I'm not some woke just stop oil.
It's all right to be vegan. And the best mac and cheese I ever had was vegan.
There you go.
It's true.
The best meal I've had recently was when Philip Ullman, who's an Orthodox Jew, took me to a restaurant called Tish in London, where they made me a 0.5 kilogram steak and poured vegan au poivre sauce over it. And he said the reason was that Orthodox Jewish people don't like the animal to bathe in its mother's milk. And you think, well, given you slit its throat and cut it to pieces, I mean, I would have thought that would have been the bigger offence.
And then there's a calendar about it as well, isn't there? You're working on that as a basis.
Some people have the most insane double standards. Like, they'll sit there, like, crying whilst you swat a fly in the house, and then 5 minutes later they sit down to eat their steak dinner, and you're like...
But Chloe, you've got to understand one thing, and I think it was it the pub landlord that said this? He said, I don't hate the cow, it's just I'm hungry and it's made of beef. You know, I've not got anything against it.
But that's the reality, and I think, when did you become a vegan? You don't have to answer any of these questions.
2016.
And what was the reason? What was the catalyst?
Long-term health reasons.
Okay.
I don't think that our bodies have evolved to digest meat.
Okay. I'm not very interested, but that's okay, because lots of vegans...
But I do believe in the ethical side and the other side as well.
And you should, and the way that they slaughter animals.
I like white bait because it's the maximum number of kills per plate. That's what I like to do. I like to sit down to dinner and think how many creatures have died.
It's really sentient, though.
No, well, but the thing is, you've got to think about. We've got to keep up our quota of deaths.
Yes.
Right. Therefore, how many deaths per meal can you do? So prawns are a winner.
You should then start eating insects, which are really good for you.
Bread will give you a lot of insects, won't it?
It will, because it's all there. If you go down to the makeup thing, the mice go eating that sort of the biscuits, don't they? And you're working on that sort of project, talk about that earlier. The reality is this.
No, tell them about the makeup room. Tell everyone.
You tell me about
because there's some people who didn't know. Right, the makeup room downstairs, they've always got lots of biscuits. You know these women that go, oh, I've got some biscuits and cream cakes, or I've got a thyroid problem.
They always sound like Les Dawson, don't they? These women
So they've got all these cakes and things, and they leave, and people go, oh, look, there's some cakes there. Yeah, but the makeup room has got mice as a result.
Oh.
How many times have you nicked stuff for food from there?
No, I've never had anything from
Haven't
there.
you?
I didn't even know they had cakes down there. I've never been offered. Clearly, you're in the VIP club.
You are in the... I know it's one and the same thing, which is it's all good. But that's the reality, and you're right. Our bodies, the insects they digest, and a lot of cultures they eat that sort of stuff. But I get it, and a lot of people they're so.
Do you think that in China, most of the snacks started off as a bet? Like, I bet you wouldn't eat that. I bet if I dipped that in soy and honey, you wouldn't eat it. Oh, it's all right, that actually.
You're absolutely right. And you dig up these things like truffles and various other things, and who's going to milk that and the first person to drink it? All that sort of stuff. You're right.
I mean, I'm sure you could say the same as some of the stuff here. Like, who the hell came up with deep fried Mars bars and what?
Elvis Presley.
Well, I've got a friend of mine who says that he believes that many Scottish foods started off as a bet as well. But I'm certain you go down to these. I mean, it's like, have you ever seen Idiot Abroad when he went to China and the bloke didn't eat an egg, he ate a fetus? And he's like, what is wrong with this man? Like, he's like, they got the egg, it's like a hatchling thing.
Okay, well, then it's slightly different on that space. But you're right, the stuff that people eat around the world, it's like going in the jungle for a lot of people that work on that stuff. Yes, exactly. And you're working on that. And have you ever, before 2016, before you were vegan, what did you
I never tried snails.
Never.
But my brother, I do remember he was reading a menu in French and he didn't understand it, so he just picked something at random.
It's how what he did. It was like brain and often.
I went to Colombia with a couple of mates of mine, and my mate put his finger down and did that, and this thing arrived, and it was stuffed pig's intestines.
Yes.
And I just said to him, I said, look, mate, don't eat it. And he was going, oh, it's lovely. I went, don't. I said, the problem is you're just doing this to put on a brave face. Just admit you made a mistake and order something else. He put it in his mouth, he chewed it, and he said, that's all right, that. Because he said what had happened was when the intestine burst, whatever they had inside it oozed out in his mouth. And even the Colombian blokes were going, do not eat that. It's a real error of judgment.
It is extraordinary. I know they get some funny things, but it is a challenge. So in Japan, they have the fugu fish. You know,
I'd love to eat that.
I've had it.
It's a puffer fish.
It is a puffer fish, but it can kill you. You need a special license in order to basically prepare this fugu fish. And every so often, people are dying as a result of it.
It's amazing, though, because there's a bit of mythology there, because I hadn't realised this. Nobody has died from a fully licensed fugu sushi chef in about 20 years. It's people attempting it themselves where they killed it. Because it's things like you have to remove the skin and
if you burst the relevant bit and that infiltrates it. And the idea is it sort of basically can numb your mouth. And so
you've eaten the one where they put a small amount of the poison into the fish.
I have. I've done it all. I've eaten everything.
Have you? And what was the thing? What thing had the nicest taste?
I don't. It is glorious, but I love it. Japan, I can tell you, they do the best food in the world because they have the best meat, the best ingredients, the freshest, and so on and so on. I had the best French food, the best Italian food, the best Indian food, all in Japan. I was there just a couple of weeks ago. It is glorious.
I've got to tell you, in continental Europe, they make curry with pasta. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, but in this country, people put curry sauce on chips, which is vile. No, it's vile. How can you accuse
Shut up
about the pasta?
We'll be back after the break. Goodbye.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Andrew Eborn and Chloe Dobbs, and I think we get straight into it. The first one is The Times and Tory anger as Farage claims surge in members. Kemi Badenoch has accused Nigel Farage of faking a surge in Reform membership after the party claimed that it has passed the Conservatives for the first time. Do we think he's lying? I don't think he is.
Defamation, as we said in the tweet, and people are responding to that. It's so easy to prove. You need to get somebody in there. The chairman's turn around and said, look, bring in one of the top 4 accounting firms. We'll tell you how we work out the figures. We'll tell you what it means to be a member, and we'll compare like with like. I don't think it's a good look. It's not a good look for Kemi to be banding around this sort of language.
I also don't understand, Chloe, that... when you sat there thinking about this strategically, surely you'd say to yourself, let's not draw attention to the fact we've not got many members.
Yeah, well,
why don't we just ignore him?
I think that your analysis is probably right, Andre, that she wrote this tweet while she'd had a few too many sherries. I can't see the logic behind it. Or maybe
is that
this is how she normally thinks, but normally her PR team is screaming everything.
Occasionally had a drink.
Not today.
She's so paralytic, it clouded her judgment, is what you're suggesting. No, it's defamatory, but the defence would be if it's true. So you need to look at that sort of side. It might explain it. It's not as serious as accusing somebody of fraud, which is what...
Yeah, but hang on a second. Is it defamatory to say, I think the only reason you believe he's committed fraud is because you're pissed?
Well, it is defamatory. If you're the basic test for defamation is if you bring somebody down in the eyes of right-thinking people.
Well, that wouldn't.
Well, no, but there might be some people who turn around and say, well, that's
who is going to think that her doing it sober would be worse than her doing it the reality is you know, if you write it off as she'd had a couple.
Yes.
But if this is a genuine decision based on her actual sober judgment, it'd be worse.
Party. It shows that she's not professional.
Chloe, can I ask you this question? Yeah. Is it possible that Kemi Badenoch is not very good?
Yes, I don't think she's that good. I don't think any of them are. I mean, I didn't actually vote in the election between Jemrick and Badenoch. I wasn't desperately impressed with either.
Who would you vote for? Would you vote for Farage?
Yes.
There you go.
And
when it's the season finale, we just eat Five Guys.
Yes. Oh, don't you worry. I'll get it, girls.
Howie, am I moved?
Sorry. Am I in the way? Sorry.
For nights in and everything else.
Did somebody say just eat?
Why? We just ran out of steam, didn't we? We all just went, where do we go from here?
No.
Why?
I thought you were asking me about Tory leaders and then suddenly you asked me about power.
No, but he may well be.
Do you mean as Tory leader or do you mean as Reform leader?
Well, both. Because they will merge. They will merge. They need to have a conversation.
Can I tell you what I think? I think there's a reasonable chance that this might be DUP and UUP territory, where the Ulster Unionist Party actually, in the end, faded into the background. It's not the first time when a political party has been replaced by an essentially quite similar brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And George Galloway always said, basically, the Tories and Labour are two cheeks of the same backside. And that's the reality. The political system at the moment is not right.
Can I tell you my great Asher Gould? And by the way, Asher Gould is just on holiday today. James Whale is off tomorrow. He's ill. He's taking the week off, so I'll be back tomorrow. But the great story about George Galloway, he used to present with Asher Gould, and he always used to go, Asher and I are great friends. And Asher would always press the dump button. So just to explain to everyone, what you're listening to or watching is 14 seconds ago. So I can press a button and it'll delete the previous 7 seconds, right, and go back in time. So anytime George said, Asher's a great bloke, we get on really well, he'd press that button. As he said, I can't go down the synagogue and I haven't heard that. OK, let's go on to the front page of the Express.
Yes.
Just Stop Oil Hypocrites. Ship T-shirts 4,000 miles.
Every single time. It's all about the hypocrisy and people flying everywhere. So 4,000 miles away to sell to supporters. The eco-warriors, notorious for disrupting traffic and sporting cultural events, shipping merchandise made in the Dominican Republic with no apology for the carbon-creating journey it takes. Well, what a surprise. You would always say
it's quite hard to buy merchandise that's not come from abroad, though.
But they don't do the T-shirts. I get it. You can get British-made T-shirts. If you're going to
but they'll cost more than all these Just Stop Oil students. on student loans are willing to pay. You know, there was a guy who he sold a bunch of Free Palestine merch on Amazon, so like Free Palestine t-shirts and whatnot, and all of the money that he made from it he donated to the IDF.
Yeah, I've heard that. Have you ever heard of pizzaidf.com?
No.
Where you can send a pizza to the Israeli Defence Force.
Oh, is that right? That's cute.
Yeah, you can, and they say how many pizzas are needed for a particular squad or brigade, and you can pick which ones. We always used to make dough. We used to campaign for it at university, Pizza IDF.
Yeah, well, there you go, all interesting stuff. So, Ian Duncan Smith, he's come out and said that
he's come out. That's defamatory. That's defamatory. Oh, no, defamatory.
He's come out
No, stop. We can't. We're going to have to make an apology. I want to apologise on behalf of Andrew Eborn for saying that Ian Duncan Smith has come out.
He's just come out and said...
No, that's not what you said. With respect, that's not what you said. You claimed that IDS was a homosexual. Lie on that.
I did nothing of the sort. He basically said it's another example.
China.
Here they come. Come on, let's bring it over. Here we go. One over here. Go for it. Very good. Now, this is one that's just flown in from China.
Right, explain what it is, because people are listening on the radio.
People are listening on the radio. This is saying, just stop oil travelling so much. So, just stop oil. Here it is. And
we should have just stop oil.
We should just... I've done it for the speaker. Just stop oil travelling so much.
Come on.
So, this is mail. There should be a label here, and it says... where does it say? Can you help me out here? It's large. It should normally say...
this one's made in Honduras.
Honduras. Fantastic.
In a sweatshop as well. So.
Yeah, probably.
It is made in Honduras.
There
we go.
Environment and morals. Well.
So this is the one.
So actually, it was
this very one. Yes. What do you think?
I think that not only was it for a very sweaty person, because Just Stop Oil, the personal hygiene's not high, is it? But also made in a sweatshop. I've always been very concerned the Green Lobby are a biohazard in of themselves.
Well, the thing is also, those guys, they're not complaining at all about little kids having to dig up stuff for lithium batteries out the ground. I never hear them.
No, and actually on the serious note about Just Stop Oil people, and this is my theory, I think that something like Just Stop Oil is a good way to dispense with your responsibility in quite an easy way, quite a social media friendly way. I mean, look, if you're going to film you pulling down the statue of a slave trader on a phone made by a 9-year-old in a Chinese Lao Gai, right? But if you were bothered about slavery in China, if you were bothered about sweatshops of Bangladesh, it's quite hard to do anything about it. It's quite easy to throw paint on a statue of somebody who's been dead 200 years.
I don't know anybody who's been converted as a result of Just Stop Oil's tactics. And I think every single time they do these appalling things, all they're doing is alienating people.
Hey, did you hear about that old bag who they had to send back to prison?
Oh yes, because she could.
Because the wrist was too small for a tag.
She needed to have an ankle monitor, but because I don't know, she's got some.
She was the one who stopped
medical issue. Maybe she's got varicose veins or something. I don't know. She couldn't wear it, so they've had to put her back in prison.
So what happened was so she was that hideous old bag that hideous in terms of personality.
Okay.
Shut down the M25.
Yes.
And really, I think behaved absolutely disgracefully. Anyway. For whatever reason, she couldn't have the ankle tag, so she needed the wrist tag, but they didn't make one small enough. So they said the law is very clear. If we cannot tag her, she has to be returned to prison. So they sent her back, and she was crying. You know, I thought, you know what, you deserve it. The problem is with a lot of these people, they think they're going to get away with it, and they normally do.
Yeah. No, I have to say, and it's a cult, isn't it? I mean, she was
definitely one of those. Yeah.
You turn around on this sort of basis. They're not converting anybody.
No.
The reality is this:
they're turning more people away.
Stuff. They absolutely. You're alienating more people as a result.
But that returns me to my central question: are they doing it because they believe it, or are they doing it just because it's quite a trendy thing to do and it's quite easy?
I'll tell you what it is. At the moment, people need a leader. They need a leader for what they're doing. A lot of people are feeling not connected with the world. Society has collapsed. As a result, you need a sense of belonging. And this, sadly, like all cults, is a sense of belonging.
Yes.
And so what we need some in 2025. We need good characters who can turn around and be leaders.
I'm your man.
You'll be the man. We'll all do it.
I think people just need a hobby, and a lot of these people, they're woke students, right? And universities these days, they only give students like one essay a term. They don't have to do anything, so they're just stuck on their bums with nothing to do. So they turn to this.
Now Vanessa's not doing daytime TV. It's really hard to know what to do as a student. What David Dickinson's presumably.
Hey, he's very happy on that sort of basis. Yes, he could be a leader. No, that's what they need. We need some good characters. You can unify people on that sort of basis, and I think if it's rather like people like Andrew Tate and so on and so forth. People are feeling they need a leader, and therefore they're going around to that sort of side.
Right. Okay, you're going to go on Ozempic.
There you go. No, you won't. And this is the problem. We spoke. This is a diabetes drug you're talking about here. It's a different thing altogether. This is how jabs can slow Alzheimer's. So this is the other thing. So this is great. We have had seismic, which is wrong, isn't it? Hope's jabs can slow Alzheimer's.
No, diabetes. Ozempic is a diabetes drug. Yes. And look, I've got a mate who's a type 1 diabetic and actually has serious problems trying to keep weight on because of these drugs. So it can't be that good for you, can it?
Well, the reality is this. All it is.
Although we had a contributor who took Ozempic, and in the end he started looking like Zelda from the Terror Hawks. It was dreadful. like a prune.
And the trouble is this is what happens. All it is. It's an appetizer suppressant. So as soon as you go back on it, your appetite is going to return. And all it is about a healthy lifestyle. And a lot of people turn around and say,
"Stay on it forever."
Then you're right. If it helps with diabetes, that's the reality. But you'd have to stay on it forever, because I assume as soon as it comes back, you've got that sort of thing. But you're right.
Would you go on Ozempic? Well, there's no need really, is there? But like if you're a big tubber, like if you're a block of lard.
I can kind of understand it if you need like a start, if you need something to sort of kickstart your weight loss journey, like just to get your morale up a bit if you hate the way you look in the mirror. But it has to go alongside you putting in place the changes to your lifestyle. Okay, get more exercising,
but my problem is whenever I give up drinking, I normally lose a stone a month.
Oh, wow.
And actually I eat more. So I think actually it's probably not the unhealthy food, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, it's a combination of all of it. But this is a direct effect, and there's added benefits what they're turning around and saying. And we're going to get these seismic changes.
Seismic people who are now like Christo. Now, when Christo used to walk backwards, it used to bleep. Beep, 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 like a truck.
We know what you're doing here. We know what you're doing. The reality is we're going to get these great advances in medicine. All these things are working on that sort of base. AI is helping tremendously solve these problems. And they will eventually, in the same ways they can now diagnose early Parkinson's, for example. Just by looking at the back of the eyes, they can say, look, they can predict that this is working on that sort of base in about 7 years' time. Start looking at that sort of stuff. Prevention is better than cure.
Can I ask you though?
Okay. This means I'll live forever. By the time I get old, there'll be a cure for everything.
I think there's going to be an awful lot of things. I'd be very surprised if cancer was a problem in 15 years.
No, you're right.
I'd be very surprised.
A lot of the illnesses we're concerned with, the disease we're concerned with now, they will be eradicated.
CRISPR gene editing. So I keep saying this, so apologies to people who've heard this a billion times, but which apparently is one of my catchphrases. But anyway. So, with CRISPR gene editing, first of all, they thought, and if anyone's been diagnosed with cancer recently, this should really cheer you up, simply because they first thought, why is it that some people get cancer and some people don't get cancer? Then they realised that's nonsense. We've all got cancer all the time. All cancer is a malformed cell. But our immune system is killing them all the time. Now, that is the start of understanding it, because then you go, well, hang on a second, why is it that my immune system can kill lung cancer and Chloe's can't, say, as an example? Well, actually, all you do is you just use CRISPR gene editing, where you take the relevant genes from my immune system and put them in hers. And they were just saying that they reckon, in the end, your cancer treatment will be 1 monthly injection for 6 months.
Yeah, and what's going to happen, if you start sharing information from around the world, this is what they're talking about at the moment, and data is the new currency, this is the problem. But if every GP basically could have access to the world's greatest leading minds and data, you can basically diagnose people a lot earlier. I'm working with something called Science with Soul, who are basically petitioning for exactly that. It's the same with the BRCA gene. So a lot of people who've had in families, if it runs in families, and you know early on that such and and such a relative had it, you can get tested earlier.
Yeah.
But because they, at the moment, don't have an obligation to disclose this, people are dying out of ignorance. So if they turn around on that sort of basis, start sharing this information, use AI to find diagnosis on that sort of basis, we're going to be a much better place.
I just want to ask, before we go to the break, about Christmas TV, Gavin and Stacey.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Do you have anything to say about it?
Yes, I think it's great.
12 million people watched it.
And that of itself is brilliant.
It's a triumph these days, isn't it?
It is a triumph. But this, you may not have followed the series, but the very fact that you get 12 million. I spoke about Morecambe and Wise, which used to be, the figures were in the zillions, similar to this show. You worked on that sort of basis. This is what you want. You want those water cooler moments. People talk about linear television being dead and the online being the new front line. You need these water cooler moments to bring back society, and Gavin and Stacey did that.
Yeah, but why do we have to all unite over James Corden, and that doesn't involve us saying see you next Tuesday?
No, because it's not about that. He's playing a role. He's an actor. In the same way, you don't need to dig into
everything. I'll tell you what, you should act as a polite person. Just try that.
Everybody, it's very easy to give him a bad rap. I say, the few times I've interacted with him, it's been lovely. And he's been a really nice guy.
How is he compared to Errol Musk?
Have I told you? Yes, he's on the... No, Errol's are brilliant.
We're not talking about it. Right, come on.
I haven't watched it, but...
Ever?
No, but I do love... Do you know the scene about him getting a takeaway?
Yes.
Where everyone you know when you get a takeaway, everyone steals all your food. You can't just order the food that you want. All your family members want to take your stuff.
Yeah.
There's a great sketch with him where he's like, he gets in a big argument and he's like, right, I'm going to order my food. I'm going to sit in the car by myself. You've got to watch the whole clip, but it's very viral. And it's very funny.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Okay, excellent. Well, that was fascinating. Anyway, so...
you have to watch the whole clip to get it.
You have to watch it.
What else did you watch over Christmas?
Nothing.
You haven't got a TV?
No, I haven't got a TV.
Or a TV licence?
No, I did watch one movie, but I can't remember what it was called. It was a spy movie.
I watched The King's Speech.
Yeah, I watched The King. What did you think of it?
I thought that he deliberately didn't mention Ukraine because he was worried about mentioning Syria and Israel as well.
Yes.
So he sort of went...
What do you think of the allegations that he's a reform supporter now just because he wore a blue tie? Everyone is spinning this to death.
I know he's one of the... Certainly Nigel counted him as one of the members, so it's...
Do you remember when he turned up in the Greek tie?
Yes, that was quite good.
It was. Well, and that's when Her Majesty wore that. Remember when they discussed about leaving the EU and Brexit, and Her Majesty, the late Queen Elizabeth, brilliant, came with that little Brexit hat on. Do you remember that in Parliament when she was supposed to do it?
It made me laugh when people were saying we don't think the Queen was in favour of Brexit. Look, they're trying to remove the independence of the country she owns, right? How would she be in favour of that? How would you I'll tell you what. You are legally the owner of this country, right? Do you think it should cease to be an independent country? No. Why would I do that? Why would I no longer be the boss, right? And also, Jean-Claude, I bet she could drink Jean-Claude Juncker under the table. No, she could. That gin and Dubonnet. She was legally apparently a problem drinker. You know, they have these definitions of how much a problem drinker is. Well, of course, her mother used to have a quad for breakfast. That's why she lived that long. She was just preserved in alcohol.
I liked Prince Philip, who was absolutely brilliant. I had the joy of meeting him a few times. Absolutely brilliant. But he had these Land Rovers. And he basically designed the thing. You could have different drinks put into the Land Rover. And that's what he did. And so he would do these wonderful designs accordingly. But no, Her Majesty was
I'll tell you what I would love to have seen. And I bet they were vintage.
Yes.
In the 80s, when the Queen and the Prime Minister were together, the husbands were together as well. Can you imagine Dennis and the Duke of Edinburgh? I remember seeing Bill Deeds. They did a show about Dennis Thatcher, and he went, Sir Dennis only had two political opinions. One of them related to the BBC. The other related to South Africa. I won't tell you what either of them were. I thought, I think we can guess, though, Bill. I think we can guess. Anyway, we'll be back.
What political statement do you think Kate's making in this outfit? Is she a member of a Green Party, then?
No, but I'll tell you what, but let's go to the Sun front page straight after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
So I got 2 pieces of fan mail. One was from Simon Danchuk, which doesn't really count because he works for us. Yeah, he did leave his business card. I mean, doubly doesn't count if there's a business card in there. And this one, which is, let's be clear, at best perfunctory, isn't it? Really? I mean, that is not a good effort. It's a tiny little card, only the size of a stamp, really. And it's from Yvonne and Gary Makinson from Tingley in Wakefield.
Oh, but that's lovely. They posted it, so they spent an absolute fortune.
No, they didn't post it. No, they didn't. How did they get it from Wakefield?
Maybe they hand-delivered it. They came all the way to the studio just to drop it
They must have bundled them all together.
That would have been good.
So it wasn't even individually to me. Well, here, Yvonne and Gary, have it back. I'm not interested.
Oh, don't do that.
No, I'm not.
You're the Grinch.
Yeah, he is the Grinch, isn't he?
I got one in Russian off Samara.
That's the only card you got this year. This is
not the only card I got. I got one from Danchuk. What are you talking about?
Hold on,
it's like the remedial class here, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I presented 2.
Did you send cards? Did you send cards this year?
I did do cards, yeah.
Do you know what I normally do? I didn't do it this year. I normally send out an email going, this year, I can't be asked sending out any Christmas cards, but in order to maintain my carbon footprint, I've purchased and incinerated 400 acres of unspoiled Amazonian rainforest, and then have a picture of a forest fire.
Oh, very good, you see. It's funny. It's gotta be
you can't actually do it, unfortunately. The Brazilian government's banned it, but I did try. It's the thought that counts at Christmas.
And we get those little emails now saying, instead of cards, I've donated such and such a charity.
I'm not having that.
Well, you're not having any of
I'm not having that. Oh, it's like that Ricky Gervais sketch. I've bought you a goat and given it to an African family. What? What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I got one of those goats for Christmas once.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
Kids for Kids. It's a good charity. I like that. We bought a well once. I
think little 7-year-old me was a bit unimpressed that she didn't get any cool toys or anything.
And somebody else got a goat.
I'll tell you what. I used to have an American Express Platinum card, and I had enough points, and they wrote to me, and they said, Andre, you can donate your points and build a well in Africa. These 30 villages in one of the driest parts of the world will now have clean water. It will guarantee that their children won't die from dysentery, and the well will help cultivate them. And the next page, there was a weekend in the Champs-Elysees, and I thought, yeah, but, I mean, you've done without the water for 6,000 years. A couple of extra months won't count. Plus, it was a good hotel. It really was.
Did you enjoy it, knowing that there were kids dying?
A small African tribe have died of thirst, so I could go boozing in the Ritz Paris. I didn't connect the two in my mind, if I'm being totally... But look, I'm not being funny, but... I would like them to have a well in Africa, but I'd saved up a long time for those points, right? The cruel irony was, before I managed to do I fell on hard times, and before I managed to take the trip, they took the points off me and cancelled the card.
No, is that what happened?
So I think that was God intervening. So the Africans didn't get a well, I didn't go to the Champs-Elysees, and American Express got their platinum card back.
All the money probably just gets pocketed anyway. It probably doesn't go to the well.
Yeah, that's probably right.
That's a terrible accusation. You reckon that's true?
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, there's been a problem with this for years. Chief
Boutalese stuck it in his back pocket.
Yeah, the money just goes to some mansion for some king.
We should absolutely call it out. There used to be that sort of style, didn't it? It all went off and it gets siphoned everywhere. We need to call that out, and that's true. Then people need to know about it.
I was talking to a girl once who.
You were talking to a girl once?
Yeah.
This is like your IDS thing.
There we go. Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm on
the telly. They're willing to talk to me. This girl says to me, this is great. And she said that she'd gone off in her gap year to Bangladesh, right? And she was working away, building these huts or whatever it is that they do out there. I don't know. I've never been. Never going to go. And they do not. Anyway, she then. They said at the end of her trip, she thought, I've got 1,500 quid left in my account. I'm going to donate it.
Oh, there you go.
And she donated it, and she gave it to the elder of the village, and she said, there you go. Look, do whatever, and just write to me what you say. And he wrote back with, my daughter had the best wedding. It was superb. He's like, what? I just financed a wedding. Do whatever you want with it. So he got his daughter a wedding.
Well, I mean, she said do whatever you want with it.
By the way, this is meant to be the press preview, so let's talk about the front page of the Sun.
She beams in a beret as she brings festive cheer to the royal family. There we are. There's one of her outfits. We all love Kate, don't we? Isn't that glorious?
I think we do.
No one loves her as much as the Americans, though. I'm never that invested in royal stories, but my American family, they'll be like, "Oh my God, did you see Kate's outfit? It was so beautiful!" And they're obsessed with their Hello. My grandma goes and buys
do the voice. Do the voice again.
Look at all the outfits that the royals.
No, do the voice again. Do the voice again.
Oh my God, have you seen Kate's outfit?
Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, that's so cool. Don't know why they do that at the end.
It is interesting, but we need a royal that we respect. I think this is the reality. I always speak up for Harry. Everybody else sort of always rubbishes him because he does do some good. Things like the Invictus Games and so on and so forth.
It's a long time ago, though.
No, it's not.
That's the only example people ever bring up.
But it's brilliant. And he talks about that sort of stuff. It's very easy to knock him. Everybody just piles in on that sort of basis. It's what we were saying earlier about if they're not in the room to defend themselves, I think somebody needs to give them.
How are we going to talk about anything if they're not in the room?
Or give a different view. Somebody needs to stand up for them. If we all just pile in, which everybody tends to do, you just pile in and rubbish the royals, it means the royals.
Andrew, you've said many things on this channel, some good, some bad.
Yes.
But let's have a rule where we can't slag anybody off unless they're in the room. How are we going to operate? How's that going to happen? I'm sorry.
Can we get Princess Kate?
Can we get Keir Starmer in for every Julia Hartley-Brewer show? Right?
But you can put a different view. And I think what it is, if they're not in the room,
other views are overrated.
Absolutely. If they're there, just put an alternative perspective. Because that's so often perception.
All right.
Perception reality that's alive.
Well, at least we can talk about Maggie Thatcher.
Yes. I think Jimmy Savile was a bad person. Right, come on, Andrew. Here we go.
You're right. There we go.
He's not in the room. No, you have to defend it. You have to say something.
And if we're going to talk about him, we've got to get someone else on the
great thing is you can't defame the dead.
All right, so that camera there, say something nice about Jimmy Savile, and what we'll do is we'll clip that out and we'll keep that forever, right? But no, you said the rule was you have to say something nice about people.
What he did was abhorrent. No. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, but he raised millions to charity, but what he did was abhorrent. He was absolutely abhorrent, and you work on that sort of basis.
Was he a good person to have raised that money?
I wouldn't go down this line at all. I think you're absolutely right, they're saying in the ear. I'll bring Maggie in. Maggie's got something to say. Have a look here. Maggie's going to say something.
Good.
No.
But she's not in
there you go. I love the way. See, I do brilliant accents. You didn't know I could do Maggie so well, did you?
Okay.
So work on that sort of basis.
No, do we go to a break at past? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go to a break, and after that, we're going to be talking about the Daily Telegraph.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Hello. I'm having more sweets because it's Boxing Day. I'm starting to feel a bit ill.
Should we see how many calories is in that entire
have a look.
packet?
I want to see the E numbers in this. What have you got? Give us a shout. Go on, read them out. Other sweets are available. What have you got?
Go on, what we got?
Oh, well,
how many E numbers? Count the E numbers.
Packet back together.
Oh, I like have you got a strawberry one there? I like
it doesn't say exactly which E numbers, but let's see how many calories.
There we are. Lovely.
What's 394 times 3.5?
That's amazing. That's a lot of calories.
About roughly 40, between 13 and 1400 calories in the
per one.
No,
so, one of these. How many have we got?
All right.
Do you know what? That's actually less than I expected for the whole packet.
So are you aware?
1400 calories.
Now, I read this report last week, and it is staggering. But Andrew, you've seen on the front page of Telegraph something about Stonehenge. It's quite small. Have you been able to see it?
It is tiny. It's even tinier than the thing on those little packages. They're talking about Stonehenge was basically about an anti-immigration monument, because they got the stones from all parts of the UK to basically unify against immigrants coming over.
Yes.
That was their latest thing, which they're revealing in the news now.
And I love that Farage is on the front page with it. Different story, but they go well together.
They've worked out that Stonehenge is a monument to the unity of the British nation in opposing immigration.
I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Without question, the best thing I've heard in ages.
But it's amazing because they say some came from Scotland, some from Wales, and they tracked all these different stones on that sort of basis. It says all about. You have to ask them though, that if that were true, why didn't they get something more central? Because you sort of turn around and say, well, bang in the middle here, York or something. You can bring that all the way down there and up there and everything else, as opposed to all the way down.
Yeah, but if it had been in Yorkshire, it would have been more likely to be stolen than if it was in the south of England.
Yeah, they've got to put it somewhere civilised, i.e. the south of England. I think now that this is an anti-immigration monument, maybe Farage should go and do his next YouTube vlog down at Stonehenge.
Oh, do you think that would be good? I think that's interesting.
Put Union Jack flags across the monument.
How pleased are these Druid communists going to be now with all this?
Well, I think they're going to raise all sorts of questions, because it used to be Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Do you remember that wonderful scene in Tess of the D'Urbervilles, where at the end they come along and she's in the middle of Stonehenge. It's all very symbolic. Well, now when they celebrate the winter solstice and the summer solstice, they can't go near there because it's all cordoned off, isn't it? So really, really difficult.
They're taking chips out of it and stuff like that.
Well, they shouldn't do that. Absolutely.
I mean, basically, just because it's summer solstice, let's all get naked and smoke cannabis at Stonehenge. Oh, get a job.
Those people are all going to be. Those lefties are all going to be horrified.
We're not having that. We're not having that. You're unsightly. We're not having that.
No, but it'd be interesting to see the backlash. You make a really interesting point, because now it's anti-immigration. What will people say as a result?
Well, we should have they could have the Tommy Robinson memorial fountain. Well, he's not dead, but no.
Poor old Tommy.
Who else could you have? Who else was like the Enoch Powell Centre?
The rivers of blood.
Yeah,
absolutely. You could do a little fountain thing.
Yeah, it could be like the Diana fountain, only with blood.
There you go. I think let's start a campaign for that. I think that's brilliant. Oh, there we are. Press preview. Look at Maggie. There we are. A little close up of Maggie.
Oh, there it is. Yes. So for those of you listening, Margaret has now got her own camera. Margaret, have you got anything to say?
No.
Brilliant. Okay. So Nigel Fraud is pictured at the hunt. Are we in favour of the hunt?
Well, this is like a fake hunt. It's like they're not really hunting the foxes and things like that. They go in these little trail things.
Yeah, I had to Google this today because I don't really understand
what
hunting.
What you have to do to comply with the law, right, and I just want to explain, you can chase a fox round as long as you attempt to shoot it before the dogs rip it to pieces.
Okay.
The point being attempt.
But yeah,
there can be no law requiring you to be an effective shot.
Yeah, well... I think it's kind of gross that they go round with some cloth covered in
it's a trail.
urine.
So
doesn't
what happens?
That smell disgusting? You're going round on your horses.
It's a scent that they can do it. what I love, and I grew up with horses, we had 18 horses and glorious things like that. Hunting is obviously very divisive because it's cruel to animals and cruel to the foxes and that sort of thing. But
some people said the foxes enjoy it. Oh, come on.
No, they don't do
Let's be realistic.
The tradition of the hunt, what I love is the tradition of it. I love all the people getting all ready on that sort of basis. I love the fact people are all going out there on a traditional Boxing Day and celebrating the English countryside. That has got to be good, doesn't it? The cruelty to animals bit, which is the other thing, that's the divisive bit. People getting together and celebrating culture on that thing, that's okay, isn't it?
I think a drag hunt's probably everyone
I mean,
can agree
I think this is a waste of time for Labour trying to ban this because, I mean, first of all, the double standards, right? You say, oh, I'm all for animal rights and whatnot, I don't want a fox to die, but then, you know, they'll go and they'll have their steak dinner and they'll quite happily have their factory farm.
No, the most hypocritical one is Labour against smoking unless it's cannabis. And you think, well, why? I don't understand this. It's like
cannabis has got medicinal purposes, and they're starting to legalise that. It's got all sorts of benefits and so on. So that would be their argument.
So what's going to happen in the future is you roll a spliff, which I would never do, obviously. But
somebody else to do it for you.
The illegal bit would be the tobacco.
I know it is bizarre, isn't it? You need to look at this. There are all sorts of medicinal benefits without going into the whole argument on that sort of basis.
I just can't stand the smell. I don't mind the smell of someone having a cigarette outside a pub, but someone who's smoking weed, I mean, you can smell it from a mile away.
And you notice more in London now. Virtually every
it's
street.
all the time.
No, can I tell you, the world centre for weed smoking is Ascot.
Really?
I don't know why the good people of Ascot love weed.
What?
Every street. And now I was talking to a very well-known campaigner in the area, the MP, and he said that when he goes around knocking on doors, he has noticed that people in Ascot love weed.
All the streets of London now, you can walk anywhere behind the things on that sort of base. Go to Camden. You know, that's...
Yeah, but they've always been a bit strange over there.
but no, the central London now, you walk around most places, you're going to smell weed, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah, on the Fox, I think that governments think when it's all going wrong, which it clearly is for Keir Starmer, a great way to get an easy win is just to ban something, because it doesn't cost a load of money like your other policies, right? Like Rishi Sunak, when he started panicking before the general election, he's like, oh, let's ban smoking and disposable.
We should have banned Rishi Sunak. We should have made him illegal in of himself.
but I don't think that it will be an easy win for them, because it's just feeding into the narrative that the Labour Party, they hate farmers, they hate the rural communities, they're a metropolitan elite, you know, putting this straight after the inheritance tax policy on farmers that they're refusing to back down on. They barely even acknowledged.
But didn't they do the fox hunting? Didn't they do the fox hunting last time because the urban lefties just hate the farmers? And so it was kind of, let's just stick the knife in them.
Well, yeah, I think there's, and this is why the thing, always try and find common ground. The common ground is the tradition of the hunt.
Why have we got this communist thing? What's the common ground on Jimmy Savile? Come on, that camera.
It's not again, Gallery. Maggie, you work on the common ground is the tradition, celebrate tradition.
No.
Very good. I love it. That was nicely cued. Well done. Eventually, I love it.
That was nicely cued about 10 seconds after.
So the reality is this: we should celebrate traditions without the animal cruelty, and I think you'd agree with that.
Would you? Would you go bullfighting?
Well, personally, no, because that's also very dangerous, isn't it? It's horrendous.
My dad said in the 70s he went off to Spain and he said, "Do you want to do some bullfighting?" He went, "It's only a calf." And he said it was not a full-size bull, but he said this bloody thing is still about 20 stone.
And they also do the bull running in Spain, you know, and that's really dangerous. People have been killed. And if it's cruelty to animals, you need to look at it. Is the honest answer?
Well, look at it as in visit and enjoy.
Not as in pay your spectator fee. No, but look at we shouldn't be cruel to animals.
I would suggest you. The problem with bullfighting is there's only one kill per piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
You bet with something like fishing where there are more deaths, but
that's the thing. So I find it really odd when people are activists against something where you know, as you say, an event where one animal dies, but then they'll quite happily kill animals every day for their food, and it's like, at least be one or the other. Like, pick your side. You either want animals to die or you want them to live. Like,
but there is a difference.
Be consistent.
I want them to die, if I'm being totally honest. In fact, if I could just walk up to a cow with an axe and have it that raw and that fresh, that's what I would do. Just a blood running down my face.
That's what you say to a vegan at Boxing Day. I don't know. I think there's a reality. But there is a difference between killing animals. There is a difference between killing animals for sport as opposed to for food. And I think even on that sort of basis. But I get, obviously, we don't want to upset all the vegans out there. We work on that sort of basis.
What if you rode the bull before you ate it?
Is that right? So you've got.
I mean, rode it as in like in a saddle. I don't mean.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if after they kill the bull at the end of the performance that they still said that they sell it for food.
Yes. I don't know.
What they're going to do? Just put it in the bin.
You still have it for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the sport of killing it as opposed to and there are painful deaths.
The sport is to dress up like somebody who hasn't ever had a girlfriend, right? And then put those like kebab sticks in its neck, right? That's the sport, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, it's not that great, is it?
I think sports which are cruel to animals are wrong and should be banned. I agree with you because it's cruel to animals.
No, there's a difference. We should be saying only sports that are cruel to animals should be allowed.
Well, you're saying that.
Yeah.
No, Chloe's not. I'm not saying that. But I mean, obviously,
like in football, what you have to do is like beat Wayne Rooney at the end of the match or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you could make them all more cruel, couldn't you?
You're really trying to get cancelled tonight, aren't you?
It's been very difficult. I know they love it. They keep them going. It's got to be good. No, the reality is that's my view, and that's my view on hunting. I think we should absolutely preserve the tradition.
But is fishing then?
No, I don't know fishing. No, fishing's not a cruel sport.
Why not?
No, because
you put a hook in its mouth.
No, it doesn't hurt. No, that bit of a fish's mouth is not. They've done some research to prove they don't. It doesn't hurt them. That doesn't hurt them.
Are you saying to me if somebody put a sharp hook through your face, it would not hurt you?
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't hurt them. Oh, he loves it. He loves it. Look at his little face. Like his little face lit up when we put.
That study was probably funded by the fish.
He's swimming along thinking, there's not normally maggots in here, if I'm being honest, right? But I'll have a go anyway. He goes, they go, right. So it rips the roof of his mouth. He goes, I love this. This is brilliant. Then he gets pulled out by some scaggy old man, right? Examined, right? To get a photo with him. He's going, this is my favourite bit of the day. This the fish is saying. He's saying it's fantastic. Hook, and then the bloke pulls the hook out your face. No anaesthetic. That's the best bit. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you but you're right.
You believe. No, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to go to a break, but when we come back, we're going to put a hook through Andrew Eborn's face, and then we're going to drag him round the Thames. We're going to stick him in a little bag, right? And then we're going to get all of our friends to examine him and take photos with him. Then we're going to rip the hook out and discard him and see how much he loves that.
Or you could watch Morecambe and Wise. The choice is yours.
Back in a moment.
on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
By the way, me and Andrew Eborn are going to be taking your calls at midnight, 0344 499 1000. Calls if you're interested in hooking Andrew's face with anything, or indeed injuring him in any other way.
We're willing to phone lines will melt on that basis.
We're willing to discuss any option for torturing the Eborn after his disgraceful attack on fish earlier. Right? Okay. I just wanted to show you the front page of the Financial Times.
Yes.
And it's just to say, the Russian air defence, which doesn't seem to take down anything other than passenger jets, has struck again.
It says they've been accused of shooting down a passenger aircraft. They're denying it at the moment. The US points to the Kremlin air defences and regional officials back the claims. But they warn against speculation. Nowadays, it must be so easy to determine what's happening. And I was watching the footage on the news just before we came out here.
You can see the holes in the plane where it's been shot down.
And that's
I think
the question
it's been shot down. But I do genuinely think it was probably a mistake.
Oh, yes.
There were Ukrainian drones operating in that area that they were trying to shoot down at the time.
Well, what amazes me is how many times, and I don't want to put people off aviation, how many times you're flying over war zones and nobody mentions it to you.
It is interesting because now, I talked about Japan earlier, and we added like 3 hours to the flight to avoid the war zones.
Have we?
Yeah. So what's happening? They're not flying over war zones. They're deliberately avoiding those routes accordingly. So instead of taking 9 hours and 10 hours or whatever, it took about 13 to go to Japan, and it worked on that.
Well, the prediction for this flight is that their GPS got jammed and messed up, and so they went off track. They were not intentionally going in that area. We're still waiting for... They found the black box, but I think they haven't listened to it.
But what's interesting about this is a flight from Baku to Grozny.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, not places that are worth visiting, either of them. But they ended up in Kazakhstan, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a strange fight, but the footage, I don't know if you've seen it, Andre, but we saw it earlier, is the footage that was from a passenger.
Holes in the window.
Was filming it. It must be horrendous.
And he survived, you know.
Did he?
Yeah.
Because you see the plane crash, like half of the front is done.
They can open their phones to show the video after, right?
But no, not necessarily, because they would have done it. So sometimes the phones survive on that sort of basis.
No, the reality is, if I filmed a video on WhatsApp now, and as the plane came in to crash, it would have enough time in the 3 or 4 seconds from you coming under 50 feet.
No, in the same way as lots of people on the aircraft, they often leave messages or whatever, it gets transmitted. So it's not guaranteed. Well, delighted he survived, and that's fantastic. But that must have been so scary looking at the footage that we saw. There was a big hole. It was on the left-hand side of the plane. Clearly, investigation needs to happen. But Moscow, they're warning against speculation. Let's not speculate.
Did you ever see? I thought the most extraordinary... Most people think the most extraordinary ever plane incident was the BA pilot who flew out the window and was held in by his feet. And they were like, is he still... They thought he was dead because he couldn't blink because the wind. But they actually did land at Southampton Airport. But I always think the other one is the Sioux City plane crash. Well, what happened was all of their I mean, what is it, ailerons or whatever that steer the plane, all of them were destroyed. And they actually had 2 pilots plus a trainer pilot, a guy who trains pilots, on board. And they actually landed it by moderating the engines on each side so they could steer it. Now, half the passengers died, but what they're saying is, the reality is, it should have been all of them because it was so extraordinary what they'd done.
It is extraordinary. Well, soon we're not going to need pilots or anything in the whole sort of pilot-free, driverless cars, all that sort of stuff is going to be happening.
Who told you that? Was it Errol Musk?
Andrew Eborn Show, more viewers than Reform. It's got to be
right. Okay, the I paper.
Let's have a look at the I.
Big Knock accuses Farage of fakery over claims.
Didn't we?
I think so. Okay, look, is that Gail Platt on the front page of the Mirror? Final Corrie surprise moves Helen to tears.
What's it sound off for so long?
TV stories.
No, but she's been on forever. So there she is, and extraordinary to work. And I feel lots of people in television that they've got feelings as well. And what's happening when
but has she been sacked though?
Well, lots of people haven't. She's retired. So what's happened? she was revisited by the ghosts, if I remember, about trying to murder her and so on and so forth on Christmas Day. I remembered it very well. Thank you in the gallery. This is what the earpiece is all for.
Don't pull back the curtain.
It's got to be good. But this is how, and what I feel really sad about, they always say that when people retire, your life expectancy goes way down because you need a purpose in life. I feel genuinely sorry for people in the public eye. It tends to go from feast or famine.
Yeah.
And you work on that sort of basis, and we've had a number of people, and I feel sorry for colleagues who we've worked with, all of them, in the last few days have lost their jobs on certain stations. And whatever your views of those people, all those stations, I feel sorry for them. The human side of it, it's very, very sad. So,
yeah, but also to the viewers and listeners, just bear in mind that some people who get moved on from TV and radio stations are arseholes. There are some, right? So it's important to bear in mind. It's important to bear in mind that what Andrew has said is not a universal truth, right? But anyway, Krista. But anyway, no, I'm joking. He's all right, actually. He's all right.
It's always a joy.
I will tell you the best thing I ever saw.
Yes.
Did you ever see that Gail Platt had a fight on Coronation Street? It was something like a daughter's boyfriend had turned out to be gay or something like that, and there was this fight. Keith Lemon a few weeks later ran a TV show called Gail Platt versus Predator, right? And it was half of the Predator. Do you remember the film Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger? It was half of the trailer for that, but Gail Platt was Arnie.
Brilliant.
It's absolutely superb.
That's what we done. Very clever, very clever. There's a few names, none of which you recognise. You know Keith Lemon, though, don't you?
I do, yes, but no, I don't watch Corrie or...
But that's okay. But it's sad, and it's moved head into tears. Again, it's TV, and we're talking about the death of traditional television. You need these water cooler moments, people gathering around the TV to get community back. And as I say, for 2025, that's got to be the mission.
Is it sad? But so you're saying, and Chloe, actually, I'll just ask Chloe this and just screw her up. Will you lament the demise of Gail Platt?
No idea who the guy is.
Who the guy is? Yay!
Is that a girl's name?
Okay. Gail is a woman's name.
I mean, you never know these days.
These
can't assume anyone's gender,
you're posh. It's going to be that. Always at the bakery. That's the bakery.
That was the first thing that came to my head.
Bakery.
Was the bakery.
Okay, it was like that
I had to go in there today because I don't normally go in because I do think it's a little bit posh and pretentious.
Right.
But
I will tell you, I was gutted. I moved out of Sunningdale and then they opened a Greg's.
Greg's is being gentrified
Greg's in Sunningdale.
Yeah, you can.
No,
and they do.
Is that right?
Okay.
Greg's is gentrified now, though. I think it's posher now.
Is it?
Do you know what they kept asking people? They kept saying, when I was working in politics, they kept going, how much is a pasty at Greg's? Do you know what my answer was? I always buy 4 for £3 on the sausage rolls, £2.70. But what you do is you go, I'll just have 2 now and 2 later. Well, that doesn't work, does it? Right, you sat there chewing them all.
I'm the same as you with this. Every time I buy something in a multi-pack, it doesn't last.
Offending people on the tube, they're going, that big lad will have all 4. And you think, no, I'm not. I'll just put them back in the bag and hope she gets off at the next stop. We've all done it.
I have done that, yes.
Okay, the Daily Star, which I think you'll find is a right riveting read.
Yes.
Okay. 10-foot ET guards at our cities. Hard to know what we're going to do about the fact that's not. Okay. UK Gale...
Journalism's so professional these days.
It's very good.
They're pointing out that the front page of this is called Gale Force UK, and they're saying it's another Gale relation.
I thought when I saw that, I thought that's exactly. I thought they could have done the pun. They could have done it because the Star is normally brilliant. The pun is mightier than the sword. The Star absolutely normally dominates that sort of side. But it's Gale Force UK. Well, this is US hurricanes are going to send wild storms and chilling temperatures here in the new year. That's what we're getting. And apparently, this Boxing Day has been the most seasonal, warm season ever.
They're asking in the gallery, are you worried about being blown away?
Would we be concerned if Andrew Eborn was blown away?
Whenever there's a whenever there's a double entendre, I just want to whip it out. I mean, the reality is this. I love it. This
Chloe, do you want
a
cola sweet?
No. One thing that ties us all together in this country.
Go on then, this bondage.
British, is our love of talking about the weather.
We do. We love it. You're absolutely right.
You don't get it in any other country like you do in Britain. We love to discuss
how's
the weather.
You're right. But apparently,
rather than asking how are you,
we
say,
How are you?
how's the weather? Is it going to be sunny tomorrow? Have you looked at the forecast?
Yeah.
And if someone complains about the forecast, that's them saying, I'm not in a good mood. I'm not well.
It's not.
But the reality is that people...
I think we all have seasonal affective disorder in this country.
And the difference is this, though,
Our
Chloe...
mood is defined by the weather.
The difference is this, that the language patterns around the world, it's fascinating. You're absolutely right. People ask how are you.
Language patterns are not fascinating.
They are.
Not fascinating.
Nobody ever listens to the answer. You sort of turn around and go, I'm pretty miserable today. They don't care. Oh, that's good. And you just move on. So the reality, we should care more about that. And people, I think,
what you do is you go, how are you today? And you go, no, keep it light. It's a meet and greet. Right. No, when I ask you, how are you? Don't do the whole, ooh, no, right. It's just polite. So, Chloe, what have you got what are you up to for the next few days?
What am I up to the next few days?
I mean, I don't care. I'm just filling time.
I think what I want to do is I want to get ahead of all the people that start getting healthy on the 1st of January. So whilst you sit there eating your Mauams until the 1st of January, I'm going to be ahead of the game. I'll be back in the gym tomorrow, ready to get rid of all the mince pies and the roast potatoes.
I'm a member of a country club where there's a pool, there's a jacuzzi, there's all the facilities, and they serve fish and chips and beer.
Perfect.
No, that's good, isn't it? They work on that sort of basis. No, I think people going all healthy, the gym memberships go through the roof in January, and people don't bother going in February and thereafter. And that's the reality.
And you know what you've got to do? You've got to write bad reviews on the Google reviews for your gym to stop it from getting filled up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to take one for the team and make sure you and all your mates
I think that's probably fraudulent, isn't it?
Too busy.
OK, Chloe Dobbs, thank you. Back with Andrew Eborn. Just one moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I think you want to phone me and Andrew Eborn. They asked, did I want to sit next to him? And I said, no. No, I didn't.
That's absolutely right. It does feel a bit cramped. You're right.
It's awful. I can't stand it. No. And the worst thing is with Asher, what he does is, every single break, he pushes his chair back and garrots you.
Is that right?
With the cables, he pulls all the cables. Oh, sorry, Bubba. Oh.
Well, the great that we've got such an enormous
It's good news to know that Black Sabbath will have a replacement if Ozzy ever dies. Right, Anyway, right, what should we do? We should say 0344 499 1000. Call us about absolutely anything. I will say one thing on a genuine note. Andrew and I, between us, just know everything. So we can just talk about any subject you want. Don't care, as long as it's not really, really bad. And even then...
I know, but we love it. We love hearing from the great British public. This is my favourite bit of the show, because you have something...
Which is why you normally don't do it. Look at him!
No, because I want to go home and listen to these brilliant people.
Oh, shut up. This is my favourite bit of the show. That's why I normally say I won't do after midnight.
Turn into a pumpkin.
Full of absolute shit. You just say, oh, here we go.
I love it. It's going to be good.
Terry is in Manchester.
Hello,
Terry, on Talk.
Hello, why I'm ringing up?
I think you need to turn down your TV or radio.
Let me plug myself in.
Can you hear me TV now?
Right?
Hello, can you hear me TV now?
Yeah, perfectly. You sound great.
Right. Why I'm ringing up is, you know when you do the paper headlines?
Yeah.
Do you do the day of the programme or the following day?
Oh, that is an interesting point, because look, it's just before midnight. So what actually happens is we struggle sometimes because we don't have the actual newspapers. We literally just have the front pages that they've emailed to us.
Right, okay, let me interfere then.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I bought the Sun this morning.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You shown the Sun headlines at approximately 11:30ish.
Yeah.
And what you're showing is papers that were printed almost 24 hours ago.
Oh no, you're right.
So therefore, you're giving us false information for the papers tomorrow. So what I suggest is...
No, you're right. So let me tell you, right, this is a steward's inquiry by Terry. This is Thursday, so this should have been here last night.
Yes.
This is Friday. Correct. Okay, let's do it. I think we're doing okay here. This is Friday. This is, actually, I can't believe this. We're at News UK. It's only the Sun we've cocked up. That's from Friday.
Can I also say, Terry, that I've turned into this sort of
Friday,
caller?
yeah. No, these are all... Yeah, they're all from Friday.
They're all from Friday. All of them from Friday. Well done. Well spotted, Terry.
Well, why don't say that, right? We look like idiots now.
No, it was deliberate, because he wins today's prize, so well done.
Today's prize is tomorrow's Sun.
Hang on a minute. There's that many voices there. If you heard me, you'd be telling me to shut up, turn my telly down. So can we have one voice at a time, please?
I think the one voice is yours, Terry.
That was meant to be you. That was you.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Have you got tomorrow's Sun headlines?
Have we got tomorrow's Sun headlines? No, I don't think we do, actually.
These are all tomorrow's. They're all tomorrow's.
Oh, not the Sun.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Well, it's the only one he noticed.
Well done. Let me pull it up for you, Terry. That's rather good.
The reason I noticed is I've been buying the Sun since day one when it was printed in the late 60s, early 70s. And I buy the Sun every day, and I've got today's paper in front of me that's got exactly the same headlines and the same picture.
Okay, so Terry, I just want to ask you a question. Help me out, mate.
I'm helping you out.
No,
okay,
not you. Him. Right, Terry. Have you got anything else to talk about?
No. I'm just pointing it out that you're not giving us the information what we pay for.
You're not paying me.
No. I know. All right then, I'm not paying you, but you're giving false information out.
I'm not giving false information, right? I never said that. The front page of the Sun today was a picture of Kate, right? Like, I don't know what day that's from.
Yeah, and I've been checking online as well, Terry. So a lot of the channels who normally take papers and they review them at the moment, the one in which we've got the Sun is not yet on there. So it was a good point to make. I've suddenly turned into this person from a call centre because I didn't get the other bits and pieces. Terry, it's so good to hear from you. Thank you so much for letting us know.
Thank you. I'm not trying to be awkward.
It's lovely. It's good.
No, he's being... No, don't tell him he's not being awkward. He'll phone again with a similar complaint. Right.
No, I'm being straight with you.
Terry, whereabouts are you in Manchester?
Wythenshawe.
Wythenshawe, okay. How's your Christmas been?
Well, just a norm with the family and, with the family and the grandkids. Can I point out that this is the best programme on television talk? We watch it all the time, morning, noon, and
I mean,
night,
actually, if we're being honest with you, Terry, given how positive you were earlier, what you must think of the other ones is it must be a damning indictment.
I didn't say that again.
I'm just saying. Never mind, Terry. Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. It's lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much for calling.
Ken is in London. Ken, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Ken.
Merry Christmas to you all, as they say. But I would like to actually talk about Christmas. I had a wonderful day yesterday. I was invited to some friends from Africa to their family Christmas dinner, and it was a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time today with some other friends from South Korea.
Oh.
We were preaching the gospel in Brixton.
Yes.
And personally, I've had a really nice time in that respect of my life. However, I would just like to say that I've been very sad about the situation in the country.
Okay.
I believe that this country now, not totally, but not far from totally, mocks Jesus Christ at Christmas time.
In what way?
I don't want to bring bad news on here all the time.
No, Ken. But in what? No, Ken. It's an important point. Are we celebrating Christmas properly? Can you just before you make the complaint, can you lay out what you are noticing and the nature of the, if you like, defilement of Jesus?
Well, it's a complete disregard for the gospel, for the Bible, even from the Church of England, for example. The reason the Church of England is now in dire straits, there's a reason for it. It's the consequences of them rejecting what the Bible teaches.
Well, I have to say to you, I completely agree. I think that, you know, if you're going to be a pizza shop that doesn't sell pizzas, you're not going to do very well. If you are supposed to be a Christian church, you really ought to have an interest in Christianity.
Of course you have, but also you've got to focus on the main points of the gospel. If a church is a real church, you've got to stick to the fundamentals of the faith. And the fundamentals of the Christian faith are this, very briefly. Christ was born of a virgin in Bethlehem, Judea. He lived a sinless life, no sin. God became a man and dwelt amongst us. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. He done good wherever he went. And because the religious people get jealous of his popularity, they wanted him killed, especially because he claimed to be equal with God the Father. And he was crucified, nailed to a cross through his hands, his feet, for my sin, for your sin, for the sin of the world. Then he was buried for 3 days and 3 nights. Then he was raised bodily from the dead. This is the fundamentals of Christian faith. Then he ascended back to heaven, and he had promised to return in judgment. That's briefly the fundamentals of Christian truth. Now, what's happening today is what the so-called churches, not all of them, but a vast majority, have departed from that, and to please the people, they've stopped preaching the need for repentance and to warn the people about the danger of eternal fire, eternal punishment in hell.
Yeah, but okay, Ken, can I just unpick that for a second? No, give me a second, Ken, because I'm interested in this. Because, look, perhaps they might say back to you, Ken, the reality is the people that they're dealing with who are repenting for minor sins all the time are not going to go to hell. Therefore, they don't have to spend their time with the fire and brimstone message.
Well, some people can say that, especially the Catholic Church. There's venial sin and there's mortal sin. But the Bible doesn't teach that. Sin is sin in the eyes of God. Okay. We're all guilty. I'm on here. I don't come on here with any pride in my heart, Andre. There's no pride in my heart about this. I'm just concerned about souls. I love you, Ash, all the folk, James Whale. But there's a day coming when you and I will stand before Jesus Christ, who is the judge of all men, and you will give an account of your life, Andre, and so will I. And if we are not under the blood of Jesus, if we don't confess Jesus Christ as our own personal Lord and Savior, and have asked for forgiveness of our sins before we die, the Bible very clearly teaches we go to hell.
But what about the idea that each tribe will worship in its own way, and therefore, whilst Muslims think Jesus is a prophet and don't believe he's the Son of God, by that token, which is in the Bible, they would be fine?
The Muslim church is the most dangerous religious cult on earth. The Muslim church, the Muslim religion is totally anti-Christ, anti-Bible, anti-Christian.
But hang on, but the Bible is a religious book of Islam in the same way as it is to the Christians.
The book of Islam is from the devil. I'll tell you why. They deny the death of Jesus Christ. They deny the resurrection of Jesus
Andrew.
Christ.
Yes.
Hold on, Andre. This is important.
No, I'm going to let Andrew deal with this because he hasn't spoken to you before.
It's really good that you come on here. I think just diverting it back a little bit, you're right, the central message for Christian Christmas is all about Christ, isn't it? And you're working on that sort of basis. And a lot of people turn around and say that Christmas has become too commercial. The difficulty as well is we're preaching that sort of stuff. It is about forgiveness. We're living in a very divided world at the moment. And wouldn't it be wonderful, Ken, if we all try and work together, that we get all people united in 2025? Do you think that's a possibility?
It's totally impossible. Okay, what's your name, sir?
It's Andrew. I've got the extra bit which the Andre doesn't have.
The Bible prophesies. Prophecy is history in advance. The Bible prophesies that before Christ returns, the world is going to be in the same situation as Noah at the time of Noah. And let's remember that God, who is holy, just, and loves everybody, he hates sin. And God, our Creator, destroyed every human being on earth in the flood except 8 people: Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and their wives, and he destroyed everyone else because of sin. He's coming this next time to destroy in fire. But before that, he offers you and I, and every listener here who mocks, that's your choice. I'm telling you the truth. There is a day coming when the day of the Lord will...
Okay, Ken, before Andrew responds to all of that, Sean in Hampshire wants to come on to discuss the New Testament with you. Sean, the floor is yours.
Hello,
Hi, John.
I've been waiting for this for 2 years. I can't believe the stupidity of people. All you have to do is look at the Old Testament, okay? The New Testament is a copy of the Old Testament. It's just done in different ways, worded differently. If there was a person called Jesus Christ, how comes he wasn't mentioned in the Old Testament? How comes he wasn't mentioned till he got halfway through the New Testament? And on top of that, logic would say to you, after 4 or 5 pages reading the Bible, Adam and Eve had 2 sons, Cain and Abel. They never had no daughters. They just had them. How did they give birth? And if they did give birth, then we must all be inbreds. We must all be lunatics. We all come from the same person. Then how did Noah get rhinoceros and elephants and tigers all the way from Africa over to Jerusalem to get them on the ark? Logic says impossible. There wasn't anyone. And then thirdly, on top of that, then it goes on to say, the biggest mass murderer in history and most serial killer is God. Because he mass murdered the Egyptians when they were trying to stop the Israelites coming out of Israel. And then he caused a flood that killed everybody because he wasn't happy with what he did. And then he comes out with the rest. And then the big con for Jesus is, if you get hit, turn the other cheek. And then this is the one that kills it off, right? He said that if you believe in me, you will go to heaven. So everyone was afraid. And do you know where Jesus came from? He came from a guy called Josephus. He's a Flavian. They was marching on Rome, the Jewish army, and Josephus got caught. And he said to what's his name, Augustus, he said to him, listen, if you don't kill me, I can tell you a way of getting around this. And he made up a person called Jesus, the Messiah. And he sent all these Romans out, all over Israel and all over there, and they were there, and they said to them, all the Jews suddenly went back. They stopped marching. We want to go see Jesus. Oh, where's Jesus? Oh, he just missed him. He's popped off over there. So they all wandered over there. And then he suddenly came to there, and another Roman standing there, which is a secret guy. And they said, oh, have you seen this guy Jesus? He's supposed to be Messiah. Oh, you just missed him. He was really good. No one ever saw him. No one ever saw him. And on the 25th of December... All
right. Now, Sean, to be fair, Ken has listened politely to what was a fulsome debunk of the New Testament. But Ken, the floor's yours.
Well, Sean, thank you for your expression of your feelings. I used to feel a bit like that myself when I was foolish, when I was an atheist. But I found out that actually the New Testament is the fulfillment of all that was prophesied in the Old Testament. And right from the book of Genesis, right to the end of the book of the Old Testament, it prophesies of a coming Messiah. And Jesus Christ is the fulfillment of all those prophecies, Sean. And he loves you, my friend. I used to be foolish like you. I used to be the same mindset. But all I can say to you, my friend, I can't persuade you to follow Jesus. All I can say to you this Christmas is this. Please humble yourself over this Christmas.
What happens, can I ask you this, Ken, before we go back to Sean, what happens if Sean's heartfelt beliefs turn out to be wrong? I mean, does St. Paul stand at the pearly gates and go, Sean, you've been a good person your entire life, you've supported your community, you've volunteered, you've done this, you've done that, but because you foolishly failed to believe in Jesus, we're going to roast you, literally, not, well, I guess, and figuratively, for the rest of eternity. Is that the view?
No, God doesn't say we're going to roast you. God says, come unto me, all ye that labour and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That is what God is saying to us today. The Bible says that God never came into this world to judge the world, Andre, but that the world might be saved through him. We are foolish. We are all sinners.
Can I just ask?
Hold on, Andre. Nobody is good enough to get to heaven. We're all guilty. I come on here as a sinner saved by the grace of God.
Okay.
My boast is in Jesus, not in me, that I am a child of God. I am forgiven. I am redeemed by the blood of Jesus, and I'm on the highway to hell. No, I'm on the highway to heaven now. And all I can say to you, Sean, is my friend, God loves you, Sean.
Okay, Ken, we're going to give Sean just one final word before we go to the break.
Can you ask me then, Ken, how did they get an elephant from Africa to Jerusalem to get them on Noah's Ark, and how did they feed them?
You asked me a question?
Yes.
Yeah, God, that's a good question. That's a good question. The Bible says that God brought the animals to the ark. God did it by his power. That's what I believe. You don't believe it?
How did it?
Pardon?
How did he do it? You tell me. You tell me a logical way that God. What, did he fly him through it in the sky? Did he do that? Because, Ken, listen, I don't mean to be insulting to you. I really don't. It's just that 2 years ago, when the COVID was on, I got up one morning and my girlfriend who I've been living with for 20 odd years, she said to me, have a look at that. And it was a thing called Caesar's Messiah. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's an hour and 20 minutes. There are several, I think there's about 8 or 9 professors from around the world who's into Christianity who do not believe that Jesus existed. And I don't, because in the days of the Roman era, there was the most common name was Jesus, like there was now Peter, David, Paul and Mark. Now, then, there was Jesus. Everyone was called Jesus. And so the easiest thing to do is say to somebody, Jesus.
Do you know what the name Jesus means? It means God is Savior. All I can say to you is this, Sean. All I can say to you is this. Sean, just a minute, Sean, please. All I can say to you this, my friend, is this. All I can say to you is this. I would encourage you to say a prayer to Jesus. Say, Jesus. Listen to this thought.
But Ken, it's going to be hard. Ken, it's going to be hard to persuade him to say a prayer to Jesus because he doesn't believe he exists. I mean, not he doesn't believe he's not the Messiah. We haven't got as far as he's even a real person.
Well, the most historic person proven to exist in history is the Lord Jesus Christ.
I can debunk your theory of the Messiah straight away. In the Old Testament, it said the Messiah will come back and it will save the Jewish people. It will save it. Yeah? Something in that area, right? Okay. So it said that they will build a wall around Jerusalem to save them being attacked by the Romans. Then, you know who built it? It was built 300 years before Jesus came by Augustus Flavian. The Flavians ruled the thing, and the Flavians were good to the Jews. It's just that the Jews marched on the Romans, and the Romans were protected by this wall around them. So the Messiah was actually a Roman, and that's why it's called Caesar's Messiah. Let me tell you this. Just read the book, or go on YouTube. Go on YouTube and watch the thing.
Thank you to Ken and Sean. Andrew.
Thank you, Ken and Sean. Fascinating discussion. What I love, just one final point on that, I love the fact that we can air the views over here and respectfully have those discussions.
No, you're not getting away with that because we know what you're like. You've got to pick a winner.
I'll tell you what the winner is. The winner is the platform for letting people have the discussion. No, there's no winner. And I'll tell you what, because a lot of people...
There's one you choose, and that will be the winner. Which is it?
Well, of the two of them, I would have to say that the Old Testament, I would say, is not necessarily word for word true, because you're right, it raises all sorts of questions. I think when you're looking at it, and without being offensive to people of faith, the difficulty I have with religion, it's caused so many wars throughout history. What I love is that we can have a platform where we can have the understanding. I have difficulties.
Who was the winner?
There was no one winner. I like the fact it was an interesting discussion, and what I want to encourage people is to have more of that discussion. The debate is not yet over.
The debate is over. Well, it is over, and who won it? And who won it? Get Maggie involved. Get Maggie involved. Come on.
No. No.
I think he thought it was Sean, but okay, I'll be back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Andrew Eborn.
It's lovely to see you. It's such a joy to be with you after midnight. We didn't turn into pumpkins, and I love the callers. It's brilliant to give a platform. No, it's true. You've got to let people have a voice, and that's what I love about it.
Stop with this. Oh, no.
That's not how I speak.
They're both as good as each other, but one of them is a bit better.
I didn't say that. What I said is the argument, the discussion needs to continue.
Who was the winner? The platform was winner. No, there was no winner.
It's
not the winning. It's not the winning. It's the taking part. No, it's not.
It's not. No.
Hitler didn't say that, did he? Hitler didn't go, it's not the winning. It's the taking part.
What I love
about World War II.
What I love is we should continue to have a sensible discussion. If you can have a platform where people can talk about things without fighting each other, and the point that I made is religion has been the most divisive thing throughout history.
I don't believe that, you know.
No, well, I believe it is, and I'm always right.
Because I believe actually.
Yes.
I believe that people will fight over whatever they fight over.
And I think belief is, and that's the problem. So a couple of problems I've got is that I've got several problems. But when people are brought up in a certain religion, they were going to follow that religion to the end of their days. When they get to the pearly gates and knock on the door and said, I follow this religiously, in inverted commas deliberately made, and you suddenly turn around and say, well, no, but you picked the wrong one. I think that's unfair. The other thing I've got an issue with, and I'd be delighted to talk about this as well, is prayer. How does prayer work? You don't turn around. Some people who are very, really, really good, some terrible things have happened in their life and continue to happen. I don't think God is sitting up there, he or she or whatever, saying, I'll pick that one or I'll pick that one.
Yeah,
that's a different.
And I think there's the Stephen Fry argument,
yes,
which is. If you got to the pearly gates and God said, I'm all eternal being, what would you say to him? Justify bone cancer.
Yeah, well, exactly. And you turn, and this is, and I've spoken about this. I had what used to be the Queen's chaplain, the Canon Roger Hall. His parish is the Tower of London, and it's brilliant to talk about these things. What I love about it, the mistake people make is to rubbish people in the conversations. What I loved about that conversation, why I wanted them to talk, is so they can answer those questions. We need to continue the dialogue. I will say one thing. Yes.
To my knowledge.
Yes.
The execution of somebody called Jesus by Pontius Pilate is accepted and is in Roman records.
It is.
But anyway,
I think that's people.
But then again, when people say there's no evidence that Muhammad existed, I find it very difficult to believe. Okay, there's no historical evidence, but you think I find it quite hard to believe they're all following this bloke and he didn't exist.
I think I like the idea of being sensitive to people's opinions. Religion is so important, and if we get, rather than stoking the flames of the divisiveness that we have in the world, if we can have these sensible discussions, which is why the debate is not yet finished. It's an ongoing discussion.
Well, now talking about sensible debate.
Yes.
Yasmin the witch from Manchester is now on.
Yasmin, I knew you were going to call.
Right, take me off screen. Leave it with just him. And put my feet up.
Hello, Yasmin.
I don't care.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I am amazing. It's lovely to hear from you.
And fabulous season's greeting for this year.
Merry Christmas, you mean?
Thank you.
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
It's very good. This is like, even though Andre's off screen, his feet are definitely here. They've walked through all sorts of funny things. Yes, there you go.
Andre knows I'm a pagan, so he knows that.
I also know that paganism isn't real, so.
Well,
I'll ask her about Stonehenge.
Oh yes, that's interesting. There was just before you phoned in, and I love to hear what you have to say. What do you think about this report, which is in the papers, today's papers, and now it's after midnight, about Stonehenge and being basically an anti-immigration site? What are your views on that?
Well, first of all, I've been to Stonehenge, and it's the heart of Britain. It's the beating heart of Britain. I feel that stopping people going there is horrendous, to put a barrier around it.
Yes, I thought you might say that.
Because when I was at Stonehenge, there was a full moon above. It was fabulous. The energy is really poignant, and it just brings everybody together, Stonehenge.
Right. And I think we want a bit of unity in the world.
It doesn't bring everybody together if it's anti-immigration, but...
Well, first of all, I hated the fact that those people put paint on it.
Yeah.
Dried paint. It was horrendous.
I understand, and brilliant to hear your view, and we'll talk further on that. I understand that you're famous for your predictions. Let's talk about it, because as a futurist, this is something that I look at as well. Yes, go for it.
All I know, I think you're a lawyer, aren't you?
I am a lawyer.
But do you wear a wig?
Not at the moment. It was too much toupee.
Although it's actually the same hairdo as the wig, isn't it?
Say something. I feel
yes.
That you're actually going to be. I keep getting like Supreme Court judge or something.
Supreme Judge. I think that's a nice idea. Thank you.
I think you're going to be that. I also feel that by next March there's something brand new coming, and I also feel there's some property near the sea for you.
Okay.
Or the coast. It's going to be prominent by next March.
Next March, okay.
I also feel that you're going to be involved in a very high-profile case, and I did get, even though you mentioned the Tower earlier, I did get the Tower of London for you.
Oh, very good.
You've also got 2 options coming up, and that's within the next, from March to June next year, to do with Korea.
Ooh.
You're also going to be
North or
invited
south?
into a prestige club.
Oh, that's good. What sort of prestige club?
Well, I am actually seeing, funny enough, Masonic, so I've got to mention it. So there's going to be some kind of invite there for you. I also feel you will be going on holiday, but the place you go in is sort of ancient.
Okay.
It's not like Spain or
Maidenhead Garden
whatever.
Club.
It's going to be somewhere more ancient, and I also feel, let me have a look at that card, when you go, you're going with 2 people on holiday. 2 people. I also got the name Bernadette for you that's going to be significant. There's also...
but Bernadette, that's interesting. I know a Bernie, but not a Bernadette without giving anything away.
It could be Bernadette.
Maybe, yes.
Bernadette.
Oh, it could be Bernie, could it? Oh, it could be Bernie in.
Let's just say, by October next year, there's quite a bit of consolidating your wealth. I'm not a financial expert, but I'm just telling you, between now and October next year, there's going to be money coming in a big chunk for you.
Oh, God, this is good.
It's significant, and it's something to do with what you've harvested over the years of your career.
Oh, very good.
I also feel...
Poppy seeds.
You're going to be at a very important meeting, 2 man and a woman, which is funny what you're on now. But this is going to be significant. You're going out somewhere, there's something being planned, and there's something being planned more media for you in the future that's going to catapult you into the media stratosphere. I also fear this year has been a lot of new beginnings for you, to do with Korea, to do with...
North or South Korea?
No, Korea in England.
Oh, is there a Korea in England?
I don't know why I got then the Isle of Man.
Right.
For some reason.
Oh, tax exile.
Somebody who goes boating round this silly isles. You know Edward Heath?
Yes.
He used to go yachting. I feel with you're going to be invited somewhere like that where they do a lot of yachting.
That's wonderful. This is all good stuff. So is there anything that... really fascinating talking to everybody. Is there anything you can do which can change what sounds like a foregone conclusion?
Yes.
Yeah, it could actually come true. It could be real.
Let me just say about when you give a prediction.
Yes.
You can open the door and tell people, but it's their choice whether they walk through it.
Okay.
Do you understand?
But it's generally positive. So what advice would you give me then? What should I be doing?
Personally, I do feel
off at 40.
I do feel you need to relax more, really do. Because what I see around you is it's like you're a hamster on a wheel at the moment. But that's fine because you're going to a destination that's a lot better. But I also
Not on the wheel, though.
I also feel with you as well is that I keep getting poetry.
Okay.
So somebody, when you were growing up or something, was mad on poetry or writing in your family. Somebody had that energy to do that. Do you understand that?
It's fascinating. I do a lot of work looking at this sort of stuff. As a member of the Magic Circle, this is what we look at, predictions, but we do it through magic rather than necessarily any external forces.
She's not doing it off either.
All the magic in the world started in Africa because that's where we all came from originally. Yeah. Andre, do you want me to tell you something really brilliant?
Is it that you've actually developed some skill at fortune telling?
In the old days, they used to use the Psalms as predictors. Now, your birthday's the 19th of the 4th. The 19th Psalm is, yet their voices go out into all of the earth, their words to the ends of the world and the heavens, and God has pitched a tent in the sun. Basically, when you were born on that day, it's saying your voice is going to go out all over the earth and to the ends of the world.
Well, I mean, people complain about that, but it's just the loudness.
I love you, darlings, and I hope you all have a fabulous Yule.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to hear from you.
OK, I'll tell you what we'll do, Andrew. First of all, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
Now, you have to answer it yes or no. Did you believe any of that?
I believe some of it. I think the great thing about it...
Yes or no? Did you believe it? Yes or no?
No, that's exactly. There are parts of it that I believe.
Yes or no?
With the Barnum Statements, and that's what they are.
Yeah, they are.
With the Barnum Statements, they apply to
So just explain what a Barnum Statement is.
Barnum Statements, it's wonderful. The great showman, P.G. Barnum, he used to say, basically, a statement which would apply to anybody. There are times that you're really confident, but there are moments that you have self-doubt. That would apply to absolutely everybody. So when you say, do I believe some of it?
Sometimes people think of you as the life and soul of the party, but you don't always have the confidence that people think you do.
Exactly, that sort of stuff. So that's a Barnum statement, and I do exactly that. You turn round and
so could you do as an example, could you do a fortune telling of me which is not based on any real insight?
Oh, yes, so exactly those sort of things. So if you worked on that sort of principle, you would turn around and say you're a very confident person, you present that, but actually you have a lot of self-doubt, and there are moments that you feel as though you're going to be exposed to the world. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Is that a fair comment?
Yes,
and so
because it applies to everyone.
But you work on that sort of basis. So each time, in the way that a lot of traditional fortune tellers would do it, is you'll be looking for that sort of clues.
And the other one is quite good, which is, there wasn't a Christopher, was there? Now, if I say yes or no to that, it'll be right.
Yes.
Because if I say, there wasn't a Christopher, was there? Yes, there was, yes. Okay.
Exactly.
And then you go, but you see them, I watch them and they go, it was Chris or Christine or
I'm getting the name Mary. I think Mary means something in your thing. And I think you had an elderly relative who passed away. And I've got some pain around here.
Yeah, Mary's saying to me, the number 5 was the 5 in the family or 5 siblings.
Yes.
Now, that is 7, right? So we've now departed.
Oh, no, exactly. And you turn around and you say, and I think you probably on your left knee, I think when you were a child, you've probably still got a scar, probably on your left knee from an injury when you were a young child. I see an accident in a playground or something.
Yes.
And I can see you had actually a hospitalisation, and I got a picture of your parents quite worried about that sort of stage. Does that mean something to you?
No, not really.
But you then work.
The reality is, it crossed my mind. Clearly, I injured my left knee at some point.
There you go.
Right.
So, and what happens is people, when you pay to go to a fortune teller, you're hoping to hear things that you want to do.
The other rule about clairvoyance or fortune teller is you make it real.
Absolutely.
So what they'll do is they'll go. Bernadette, and you go, and you're Bernie.
Yes.
That's right.
I know, exactly. And you work on that basis. And you look for clues. Like there are wedding rings. You talk about that sort of side. You look at how somebody dresses.
Also, I think the extraordinary one is, it's your grandmother. Well, I mean, without being funny, you get to a certain age, 60-year-old woman, her grandmother's going to be dead.
Yeah, no, exactly. And often you'll turn around and say, look, I'm getting an image, I think there's some sort of pain here, it's something to do with this sort of area. Well, that covers everything, really.
Yes.
And so lots of people you work on.
And I thought the other thing was, you've had problems with, is it your knee or your hip?
Yes.
I mean, come on.
And you've got some health worries and things. And you're in a relationship at the moment. There are some days when it goes really well, and other times...
Okay, we're in trouble for going over the break, but I find the whole thing fascinating. Back in the mo.
UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On the app. On your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Tristan in Southend is here. Tristan, let me do a prediction for you. Okay. So we've got a spirit in the room now. We've got a spirit, and it's a lady. Is it Margaret or Murray? Does that mean anything to you? Maria, Marine?
No.
But it's someone beginning with an M who's on the other side.
It's on the other side?
Yeah, it's not on the other side, not gay. I mean, he's ruined it now. Right, Tristan, have you ever had a bad leg? Yeah, yes.
Andre, I don't believe in these predictions. The last time someone said a large sum of money was coming my way, I got run over by a Securicorp van, so there you go.
Funny enough, we were just saying during the break, and this is where we were being quite nice, because clearly Yasmin has some heartfelt beliefs. She's come on this show for free to give these people readings and all that sort of thing, and to help out. I don't believe that it's real, but I believe that she believes it's real, so I don't believe she's one of these con men. But what Andrew was saying during the break is, there are some people who take bereaved families' money.
And that's absolutely the point. When somebody's at their lowest point and they're desperate for some sort of news from their loved ones who's just passed. Houdini, famously, he was told that he could get in touch with his mother. And he believed a psychic. He used to spend a bit of money until he suddenly realised that the whole thing was a con. And what he therefore did, he spent the rest of his life basically debunking the mediums. But I think Andre's right, is that she absolutely believes that she has these talents. There are lots of things I talked about, Barnum Statements, which apply to everybody. What are your views on it?
Can I just say one thing before we go to Tristan? Honestly, I think the best way to disprove it is next time. This is what I always do.
Yeah.
Get the horoscopes in the newspaper and then go, which are you to somebody?
Yes.
And then read out any of them.
Yes.
Right, and you go, right, I'm Aries, and read out Cancer.
Yeah.
And then they go, there was that trick, I think, what's his name did, Darren Brown,
yes,
where he got them all to read out a personal thing that was for them. And then they realised it was all the same one.
Oh, no, it's all the same one, because you will adapt. As I say, you will apply the narrative. Psychologically, if you go, you pay somebody, you want to believe.
Yes.
And because you want to believe, you're already there.
Yeah.
And so you'll often help them out with statements. Oh, I see an M in the word, whatever. You'll provide the name.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these things work.
Sorry, Andrew asked you a question, Tristan.
Yep. Sorry, Andrew, could you repeat
Of course I can. So what do you believe, Tristan? Do you believe in psychics?
Psychics, to be honest with you, I've seen them in action, and I just know that they ask loaded questions. So it just leads you to give them information. It's not, in my opinion, true.
But here's the question, though, Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
Right, at what point is it a bit of a laugh, and at what point is it abusive? Because look, Yasmin, go round to Yasmin's house with a load of tarot cards and a bottle of wine, you'll probably have a good laugh, right? Certainly I have a good laugh with her, and I enjoy her phoning up because we have a bit of fun. But it's when somebody's £40 an hour 3 times a week and things like that.
That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just taking advantage, because people are looking for answers, usually for dead relatives, as you say.
Yes.
But she doesn't.
I think the dead children one's the worst.
Yeah, she gives this away for free. It's harmless fun, and she doesn't do anything nasty or try and make money out of this on the sly. So, yeah, good luck to her is what I say.
What, just a matter of interest on politics, we're talking about this reform overtaking the Conservatives. I think there's a couple of issues. Clearly, Reform is surging. They're not as big as the Conservatives. They're the official opposition. But are these big in terms of membership? But I think the other question is, and I don't know the answer, but instinctively I've got an opinion, but is it tactically right for Kemi Badenoch to attack Nigel Farage in this way, or should she just be in her own lane doing her own thing?
Well, she needs to heed it as a warning. She's absolutely not doing that. It's coming across as though she's bitter and clutching at straws.
Right.
Now, from the Reform point of view, they really need to organise themselves at grass level as quick as they can, before these cancelled elections, because a lot of them here in Essex have been cancelled because we're heading for a joint authority again.
Oh, so Essex County Council is about to be abolished?
Yes, it's going to be merged up. Thurrock and Southend are going to be put back into it. They disbanded Southend and Thurrock in the 90s to have us as unitary authorities. Now it's all being merged back up again.
So it will just be one big Essex with, what, a mayor at the head of it or something?
They're saying at this point in time there might not be a mayor. But it's absolutely misleading in a lot of ways because we were not consulted on this. When they created the London mayor, the god-awful London mayor, I should say, correcting myself, they had a referendum. Here it's just been imposed on us, as in many parts of the country.
I have to say, I don't like a lot of the changes to local government. I personally would go for much more local councils. So I understand that you've got no sort of oversight and no accountability on the system we've got. But I actually don't think that's an argument for bigger councils. I think it's an argument for smaller councils, simply because when a lot of the mergers happened in 1974, the reason they did it was because they wanted services to be of an economy of scale. Don't need to do that now because it's all contracted in. Tristan, thank you so much. We're going to go to a break. Back in a moment.
Take care.
The UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Right, before we go to our voice message, in the words of Ash, a voice message has flooded in. Okay, Nikki sent a message and she said, Andre, I predict you're going to meet a lovely lady and take her on a date. This is her phone number. Now, the problem is, the phone number doesn't come through on this system. Phone up. Pick up your phone and dial 0344 499 1000. Other people want to pretend to be Nikki. You can have a go and we'll see if we can work out who the real one is. 0344 499 1000. We'd love to hear from you. We're gonna have a conversation. And what we'll do is you're going to tell me where you're going to take me, and then I will probably reject the offer. But it'd be amusing for me to ridicule you in the process. I'm joking. It'd be amusing for us to go through the whole idea. 0344 499 1000. Let's go to the voice messages.
We haven't heard from Barbara for a while. Hope she's okay.
That's Lyndon. Oh, was that it, Lyndon?
Hope she's okay.
I think we hope that Barbara's okay. Who's Barbara? That's another one of your regulars.
Let's not get into that whole mess.
A long-time listener.
Scott is in. Barbara was a very lovely lady from Cheshire who lost her husband and used to phone him regularly in order to get through that period. And in fact, in the end, my dad and Danielle Nichols end up going to the funeral of her husband.
Right.
Okay, Scott is in Huddersfield.
Hope she's okay.
Hello, Scott.
Listen.
Oh, bloody hell, turn that off, Scott. We don't want to make it too much noise, do you?
Turn it off.
Well, bloody get it off. Susan, turn that bloody thing off.
Down.
No.
Right, come on, Scott.
Right, I'm alright.
Oh.
You're the woman, that's fresh.
Oh, there we go. That was just a noise. All right, Scott, come on. What have you got to say to me?
Come on, Scott, what have you got?
I'm an house, yeah. It's painted.
Asher is a cretin.
On the wall, yeah. Which is TV 10 to 1 in the morning, yeah. Andy Walker is, yeah. I mean it, so...
Scott, have you been to the pub tonight?
Andre, I do, man.
Yeah, you've been to the pub, have you, Scott?
No, I've been staying in, yeah.
Yeah.
Watching BBC One.
Ah.
Right, okay.
Oh, no, sorry. You said you 10 on 4.
Right. Yeah. Fast.
Guys, you okay, guys?
Well, really well. It's lovely to hear from you. What's been your best bit for Christmas?
Nice time, yeah. Part of the family.
Always important this time. Did you have a big row over Monopoly?
No. I've been watching watching Corey Dobbs.
Ah.
Right,
yes, no, well, very good. Well,
Andre, did a good job.
Thank you so much. I've got to say to you, I went to Lois Perry's house yesterday.
I saw that, yes.
And we played Trivial Pursuit.
There you go.
And I got every single question right.
Oh, well
the game
done.
was over relatively quickly.
What cheese were you? Because that's the one we had to make people don't talk about Trivial Pursuit anymore, do they?
No, it was a good game, actually.
And you gave them a Nigel Farage.
How about this? Who is the most recent pope to come from a country that isn't predominantly Catholic?
Go on then, who's that?
Pope Benedict.
There you go.
Germany.
Ah.
I almost went for Stephen, the last one that was British.
Yes, there you go. That would have been interesting.
Okay, Scott, well...
The Elvis impression, he's going to be 90 next year.
Okay, Ben is in Stanwell.
Hello, Ben.
Hi, I can't believe I got through this quick.
It's lovely to hear you.
It's getting late.
Yeah. That lady before, all about that medium stuff and predicting things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there is programs that the actual police, it's called psychic detectives.
Yes, I've seen those programs.
Yeah, that they regularly use when they get to a dead end in a cold case.
Hey, can I make a point to you, though? The FBI say that they have never used a psychic on a case. And so they say that when psychics claim to have worked on the case, they're actually lying.
But the actual police on there, from English police and American police, say, we've got to take it with a pinch of salt, whatever, and just think, but they've solved cases, and there was one court case when a psychic not a psychic detective, but they use them.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this, Andrew.
Yes.
Is it possible that so first of all, I'm not accepting that a psychic is real, right? Is it possible that somebody could be so intuitive that perhaps, even though they believe they're a psychic, having some fresh eyeballs on a case could prove effective?
And I doubt it. It's all about... It's all about causation or correlation, isn't it? And you work on that sort of basis. And so often you can get these hits. You need to work out the best way of testing it. And the Magic Circle offered a reward. It's the same with James Randi. He offered $1 million for anybody who, under scientific conditions, could prove that they're psychic. So the reality is this. The best way of doing it is get all those statements. I talked about Barnum Statements beforehand. Look at how many the hits are and how many, analyse it on that sort of basis. And when people make predictions, you basically do the law of averages. Are you going to turn around, if they get 90% of them are wrong, but you only talk about the successes, then you've got to question something.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing.
Some of these, they ain't predicting it. They get something off the person like a watch or a bit of jewellery, or the trainer's little boy was missing. They were searching another place, and he was like, "No, it's this way." They found the boy. They have to make some connection.
But Ben,
they're not predicting.
But Ben, Ben, if you were gonna, and this is to dovetail onto what you're saying, if you were to get my dead grandmother, God rest her soul, coming back. And she could say anything to me. Why would she say I had 3 sisters and my mother's first name began with E? I mean, why would you?
I'm not saying that sort of type of one, but the police do use them when they get to a dead end, and they're not predicting it. They can just give them more of a clue of where the body is,
and they can look into that. And